Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what will happen when you assign duplicate elements to array list in Java? Let me answer. Array list will accept those duplicate elements and will store without any errors. Okay, why? Because in array list, we have a concept known as indexing concept. The first element will be stored at the index 0. The second element will be stored at the index 1. Third element will be stored at the index 2. Every element that you are adding to the array list has an index. Okay, even though you are adding some duplicate elements to the array list, since there is a indexing concept that every element has an index, so these duplicate elements will be stored at different indexes, because of which array list doesn't have any problem. Okay, array list will store and accept these duplicate elements to be stored at different indexes. The first element index 0, second element index 1, third element index 2. So since every element has a different index, duplicate elements are allowed with the array list. Okay, you'll not get any compiler error, and when you print the array list, all the duplicate elements which are stored at the different index things will be printed in the output console. Okay, when you retrieve and print. So let me practically demonstrate this for you. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class here. I'll just name this class as class 14 with main method I'll create. Okay, class 14 with main method. Inside this method, I'm going to, create array list. First of all, array list a list is equal to new array list. Like this, I'll create an object for the array list, hover the mouse on the array list and import this array list from java.util package, and here provide less than greater than symbols. Here also provide less than greater than symbols. And here inside this, I just provide integer as the type of the objects I would like to, type of the elements or objects I would like to store into the array list. Now using the object reference of the array list, that is a list, I'll call a method that is add method for adding the elements to the array list. Since integer objects are being allowed, I'll add this 9. Again, a list dot add of again 9. I'm adding the duplicate element, but the first duplicate element is first element is stored at the index 0. Second element, which is duplicate, but still it will be accepted by array list because it will be stored at the index 1. Because the indexes are different for those elements. Okay, they will be accepted. I'm adding 5 now. Again 9. Again 9. Let's say 0. 6. Okay, like 6. Like this, some how many elements I added? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements I added. In that, 9 is duplicated 4 times. You say 9, 9, 9, 9. They will be added, guys, because this 9 is getting stored at the index 0. This 9 is getting stored at the index 1, whereas this one at the index 3, because this fourth position. So index 3, this is index 4. Okay, since this duplicate elements are stored at different indexes by array list will allow that and will not give you any compiler error. And when you retrieve and print this array list, all these duplicate elements stored at different elements will be accepted and printed in the output. As you can see, 4 times 9 will be printed. Double 9, you see 2 9s, here also 2 9s, you see they're accepted. So array list will allow you to store duplicate elements into the array list. Okay, array list will allow you to store duplicate elements without any problem because of the concept known as indexing concept. Because of this indexing concept, array list will allow that. This indexing concept is not there in other type of collections like hash set, hash map, etc. So their duplicates are not allowed, but in array list, duplicates are allowed because there is an indexing concept. First element of the array list has the index 0. Second element of the array list has index 1. So duplicates are allowed, as I demonstrated practically in this session. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, does hash map allow duplicate elements in Java? Let me answer. The answer is no and yes. Why I'm saying both no and yes? Either answer should be either yes or no. But here, the answer for this question is both no and yes. Why? Because coming to the keys, when you add duplicate keys, okay, when you add elements to this hash map, you have to add the elements in key value format. Unlike array list or hash set, to the hash map, you have to add the elements in key value pairs. Okay, when you add the keys to the hash map, when you add the keys to the hash map, okay, and you try to add duplicate keys, then hash map will not give you any error, but it will ignore the duplicate keys. Okay. Hash map will not give you any error, but it will ignore the duplicate keys. You see the same key added multiple times to the hash map. It will not give compiler error or any error, but it will ignore the duplicate keys. Only one key it will consider out of all the duplicate keys. And that too, the latest key and value pair it will consider. Okay. Out of all the keys that are duplicated, the latest key will be considered. Latest keys value will be considered. Okay. That I'll show you anyhow. And coming to the other answer, that is yes, the values can be duplicated. If the keys are different, the values can be duplicated, no problem. Okay. The keys are different. For different keys, you are giving duplicate values, no problem. Keys are differentiating the duplicate values, so no problem. So here, to add the elements to the hash map, we have to add the elements in the form of key value pairs where keys cannot be duplicated. If you try to duplicate the keys while adding the elements to the hash map, the duplicate keys will be ignored without giving any compiler error, and the latest value that is assigned to the duplicate key will be considered. Okay. And coming to the values, duplicate values are allowed in hash map when they are assigned to some different keys. Okay. Some different key one, some one value is there, key 2, duplicate value of the key 1 is there, then okay. Duplicate values can be assigned to the different keys in hash map. So values can be duplicated, but keys duplication is not possible. Instead, it is ignored in Java without giving any compiler error. With practical demonstration, I'm going to prove you that. For that, I'll switch to the Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just name this class as class 15. Is class 15 done? No. Okay, some random name with main method. Okay, I'm going to inside this main method, I'm going to create hash map. Hmap is equal to new hash map. Like this, I'll create an object for the hash map and import this hash map from java.util package. And here I'll provide less than greater than symbol. Here also less than greater than symbol I'll provide. And here in the hash map, I'll provide the key type as a string type and value type as object type. Okay. Like this, I can store the key value elements, pair elements to the hash map in string and object format. So here hmap dot add of here add method will not be there in hash map. In array list and hash set we have the add method, but in hash map we have put method. So here string, for example, I'll say the string as name. I'll give the name as Arun. Again I'll say hmap dot put off. Again I'll give the same key. Duplicate key I'm giving, that is name. Here I'm giving the value as, let's say, Varun. Then here hmap dot put off, let's say I'll give location, that is Hyderabad I'll give. Okay. And here hmap dot put off, again I'll say place again I'll give Hyderabad, the value Hyderabad. I'm duplicating the Hyderabad value here. Here in this case, name is duplicated. Here Hyderabad is duplicated. Value is duplicated. Here keys are duplicated. Okay. So intentionally I'm giving that. Okay. So what will happen in this case? What will happen in this case, guys? Okay. When I print this hash map, what will happen? System.out.println. If I print this hash map, what will be the output? So first of all, the thing here is the name is nothing but the key here. Okay. The key name is duplicated. Name key is duplicated here. First time, second time. The latest value that is assigned to the name key is Varun. So even though first element, time you added the hash map with the name key as Arun, so what happens is the Arun will be updated with Varun. It will ignore the duplicate keys, guys. Okay, keys cannot be duplicated in hash map. You will not get any compiler error, but only the latest key which is duplicated will be taken with the latest value. So when you print it out, when you print this hash map, it will print name Varun in the output. It will not print name Arun. Okay, because name key is duplicated. Okay, since you are adding this Varun for second time to the same name key. So since it cannot be duplicated, it will ignore the name key and it will update this Arun value with the Varun, and in the output only one time name key with the value Varun will come. But coming to the location and place, they are different keys. They will be accepted. Even though they have duplicate values, that's okay, because location is a different key where Hyderabad is assigned, place is a different key where Hyderabad is assigned. It's okay. Values can be duplicated, but keys cannot be duplicated in hash map. Run the code and observe that name Varun will be there, location Hyderabad, name Varun has come, name Arun has not come. You see latest value assigned to the duplicated key has come. And remaining things, you see, place Hyderabad, location Hyderabad came. Values can be duplicated, but keys cannot be duplicated, guys. Okay. So hope, guys, with practical demonstration, you understood that does hash map allow duplicate elements? Yes, hash map will allow duplicate values when there are different keys, but it will not allow duplicate keys. If you try to add duplicate keys, it will ignore the duplicate keys and take the latest key value pair in case of duplicate keys without giving any compiler error. With practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we assign an object of asset class to set interface in Java? The answer is yes. In Java, we can create an object for asset class and assign it to the variable of the set interface. That's okay. Why? Because set interface is a parent interface of asset class. Asset is one of the classes under collections framework. The set interface, asset are interfaces and predefined interfaces and classes from the collections framework. And in that collections framework, set interface is a parent interface of this asset class. That's why we can create in Java, you know that, right? That we can create an object for the child class and assign it to the variable of the parent class or parent interface. Since set is a parent interface of the asset class, we can create an object for the child class, that is asset class, and assign it to the variable of the parent interface without any problem. Okay. So let me practically demonstrate this for you. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just name this class as, let's say, class 16, some random name with main method. First, I will create an object for the asset. Okay. Like this, asset is equal to new asset. Okay, I'll not worry about set interface now. I'm simply creating an object for the asset class, asset predefined class under collections framework. Okay, you're getting warning messages. I'll just give less than greater than symbols here. And here in this less than greater than symbol, I have to specify the type of the objects that I would like to add to this asset. Okay, so I'll simply add few elements like, for example, asset dot add of let's say 9. Okay, then asset dot add of 5. Then asset dot add of 7. Like that, I'll add some elements, guys, and I'll print it out. Okay, system.out.println. I'll just print the asset without any problems. The asset object will be created. Here we create an object for the asset class and assign to the variable of the same class, that is asset, and added the elements. And now I'm printing. The program will work fine without any problem. You see, 5, 7, 9 elements, whatever the element that I added to the asset got been printed in the output without any problem. But here the question is, can we assign the object created for the asset class to the variable of the set interface? Here, the variable of the same asset class only we are assigning. But what if I provide set here? Some people will write like this. Set asset is equal to new asset. Import this set from set interface from java.util package. You see, still it will work fine. Okay. Even though you write like this, you create an object for the asset and assign to the variable of the set interface, it will still work fine. Both the set interface and asset class belong to the same collections framework. You see, we got the same output. Here, set interface is a parent interface of the asset class. Asset is a child of the set interface in Java. Hence, you can create an object for the asset class and assign it to the variable of the parent interface of it, known as set interface. Because in Java, we can create objects for the child classes and assign them to the variables of the parent classes or interfaces, that is allowed in Java. Okay. So some people will write the code like this. You should not get confused. We can create an object for the child class and assign to the variable of the parent class or interface. Here set is a parent interface of the asset class, and they both belong to the collections framework. So it is possible in Java, and the program when I have run, we got the same output without any deviations and all. So hence the answer is yes. With practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the difference between array list and hash set in Java? Let me answer. So what is the difference between array list and hash set? I have to explain the differences. First, I'll go with the array list. Coming to the array list, okay, coming to the array list, here we have a concept known as indexing concept. That means the first element added to the array list will be added at the index 0. The second element added to the array list will be added at the index 1. Third element added to the array list will be added at the index 2, and so on. Okay, array list belongs to the collections framework. It is a predefined class in collections framework. Similarly, hasset is also another predefined class under the collections framework. But what is the difference between array list and hasset? Array list has indexing, whereas hasset don't have any indexing, no indexing concept. There's no indexing concept. So the elements that you add to the array list will be stored in the order in which you have added them to the array list. Okay, the order will be preserved. The order, okay, adding, element adding, element adding, order, element adding, order is preserved. Preserved. That means the way or the order in which you have added the elements to the array list, the same order in which they will be stored in the memory of the array list. Okay, the same order will be maintained by the array list. The order in which you have added the elements to the array list, the same order they will be stored in the array list case. But coming to the hash set, it's not like that. Here, order is not preserved, hence it is random order. So though you add elements to the hash set in a particular order, but that may not be the order in which those elements will be stored in the hash set. The elements that are added to the hash set will be stored in a random order. Okay, it's not ascending, descending, it's a random order. Fine. And coming to the array list, here duplicate elements are allowed. Array list will accept the duplicate elements. Why? Because there is an indexing concept. So if you add, let's say, a duplicate, let's say number 9 or object 9 at the index 0, and at the index 1 also, if you add the same object 9, it will accept, because the first 9 object is stored at the index 0, second 9 object is stored at the index 1. Since they have different indexes, duplicate elements or objects are allowed to be added to the array list without any problem. Okay. So here, coming to the hash set, here duplicate elements are ignored. Ignored means what? You will not get any error. Okay, when you try to add duplicate objects to the hash set, okay, it will not consider, guys. It will not consider. It will ignore the duplicate elements. It will ignore the duplicate elements, but it will not give you any compiler error, etc. But it will ignore the duplicate elements. That's what happens with the hash set. In array list, to add the elements, we have a method known as add. Okay, we have a method known as add, and you have to specify the object, okay, that you want to add to the array list. In hash set also we have the same add method. This is not the difference though. Here we are the question here is the difference between array list and hash set, but this is similarity, guys. Okay, unlike these three differences I covered so far, but add method is same, guys. Okay, when you are adding the elements to the array list, or when you are adding the elements to the hash set, they have the same add method, which is not a differentiator, but similarity, you can say. Okay. So next thing is here we have get method. Okay. Or else we can change this differentiator by, here we have add and get of index methods available. Okay. Get of index method available. But here only add method is available. Like this we can differentiate still. Okay. Though similarity is there. Here only add and no get. Why no get? Only add method is there, and okay, only add method. Otherwise, we can simply say add method. Get method will not be there here. Get of index, because there is no index concept here. Get of index method will not be there in the hash set, but it array list will have the get of index method. Okay. Then what else we have? Coming to this, here we can use all the variety of loops like normal for loop, for each loop, and we can also use iterator kind of loops, etc. But here, since indexing concept is not there, okay, since indexing concept is not there, here we cannot use for loop. Okay, only for each loop and iterator we can use, but we cannot use normal for loop. For loop works with the indexing concept only. Okay, whenever you iterate an array or array list, right? Because of indexing concept, you can use a normal for loop for int I is equal to 0, I less than, like that we can use. But here indexing concept is not there. Hence, we cannot use normal for loop for iterating the elements of the hash set. Instead, we can only use for each loop or iterator, guys. Okay. So that is another difference. These are all the differences, guys. So far, I explained or given you total 5 differences. Okay. And if you still want, more differences and all, the parent of this array list is list interface. Okay. But the parent of the hash set is list interface is the parent. Okay. Whereas hash set parent is what? Set interface is the parent. Okay. Set interface is parent of hash set predefined class in collections. So both belong to the collections framework. The parent of the array list is list interface. The parent of the hash set is set interface. These are all the differences between the array list and hash set. Okay. These are all the differences between the array list and hash set. So what else we have? I think this much of this much of the things will be enough. Whenever you get this kind of question in the interviews, you can specify this total six differences I gave, right? That 6 differences you can mention. Both array list and hash set belong to the collections framework. Under the collections framework, we have this predefined classes known as array list and hash set. While array list has indexing concept, hash set doesn't have indexing concept. So because of this indexing concept, lot of differentiators happens, like elements added, order is preserved. Here random order because of no indexing. Duplicate elements are allowed because of indexing. Here duplicate elements are ignored because there is no indexing concept and differentiator is not there. So hash set will not give error, but it will ignore the duplicate elements. Here add and get of index methods are there, both the methods. Here only add method is there, get of index method is not there because indexing concept is not there. Here we can use all the 3 loops like for loop, for each loop or iterator loops. But here only we can use for each loop and iterator. We cannot use for loop because of no indexing concept in hash set. And here we have the parent of the array list as list interface, but the parent of the hash set is set interface. Fine. So simple words, if you don't want to store duplicate elements, then people will go with the hash set, guys. Okay. Generally, why people choose hash set? If they don't want to store duplicate values into the collections framework related class, then they will go with the hash set. But if they are not worried about the duplicate elements and even duplicate elements are also allowed, then they go with the array list. And if the order need to be preserved, they generally go with the array list. If the order is, if it is okay, the duplicate elements are okay, should be ignored. If it is a duplicate element should be ignored, they go with the hash set. Whereas here, if the order of the elements in which they are added to the array list should be preserved, in that they go with the array list. Okay, this is how in real time we either go with the array list or hash set, guys. So fine. So these are all the differences, guys. Let me practically demonstrate all these differences for you now. So for that, I'll switch to the Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just name this class as some random name, say class 17. I'll say class 17, guys. With main method, I'll create class 17 with main method. And here, first I'll go with array list, guys. I'll create an array list. I'll show you array list. A list is equal to new array list. Similarly, I'll create here. First, I'll import this array list from java.util package. Over the mouse on this and import this from java.util package. Warning messages will come because we have to specify the type of the objects that we would like to store into this array list. So I'll specify. Let's say I would like to store integer objects here. Okay, then I'd like to also create hash set here. Okay, parallelly I would like to create hash set. Hash set the same way I'll create integer h set is equal to new hash set. Like that, I will create an object for the hash set. I'll import this hash set from java.util package. Okay. Now the thing here is, here there is no indexing concept in hash set, whereas the indexing concept is in array list. For example, if you add some elements to the array list, a list dot add of, there's a method known as add method. So here, if I add 9 here, okay, if I add value 9 here, this will be stored at the index 0. A list dot add of again 9. This will also be stored at the index 0. Sorry, 1. Sorry, 1. Okay, the same duplicate value, duplicate object or element is stored at the index 1, second next index. Add of 5. This will be stored at the index 2. And if I say a list dot add of again 9, again duplicate element I'm trying to add, this will be stored at the index 3. A list dot add of again 9, this will be stored at the index 4. Okay, a list dot add of 0, let's say, this will be stored at the index 5. And a list dot add of 6, this will be stored at the index 6. Then a list dot add of, let's say, 122, this will be stored at the index 7. A list dot add of 99. Okay, index 8. A list dot add of 521. Okay, this will be stored at the index 9. Like that, some 10 elements I gave, guys. Okay, so you can see that there is an indexing concept here from 0 to 9 I gave. This element got stored at the index 0. So here, the thing here is with the array list is same thing. I'll copy paste here for the hash set. I'll copy paste the same, because in hash set also we have the same add method. We are going to add the same, but here indexing concept is not there. Okay, so I'll simply say hash set. The object reference of the hash set I'll take hash set dot add, hash set dot add, hash set dot add, hash set dot add. Okay, hash set dot add, asset 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 dot add. Okay, here there is no indexing concept, so I'm removing here. There is no such kind of indexing concept in asset. Okay, in array list we have indexing concept. When you add the elements to this array list using a list object reference using the same add method, the elements are stored according to the index. But here with the hash set, I told you, right, there is no indexing concept. These elements will not be stored according to the index. Okay, so that's the number 1 point. Here indexing concept is there, here no indexing concept. Okay, here whatever the order in which you have added the elements to this array list, the same order the elements will be, whatever the order in which you have added the elements to this array list, right, in the same order they will be stored in the array list. The order in which they added the elements to the array list, the same order they will be stored in the array list. So if I print it out, so when I run this code, you can see in the output that the order in which I have added the elements to this array list, in the same order, they will be stored in the array list. Okay, the order will be preserved in case of array list. You see, first element is 9, so it's 9 is there. Second element again 9, 9 is there. 5 is there. You see, order is preserved. The order in which I have added the elements to the array list, in the same order, they got stored into the array list. 99, 5, 99, 0, 6, then 122, 99, and 521. You see, order is preserved. But what about the hash set? Is the order preserved here? No, the order is not preserved. These elements are going to be stored in a random order. Okay, the order in which they have been added to the hash set will not be preserved. Rather, these elements in the hash set will be stored in a random order. So to prove that, I'll print out this hash set here. You'll understand. Run this code and observe that the elements will be stored in the hash set in a random order. You see, first 9 is there, but here 0 came. 99 is added at this position, but 99 is coming here. Then 5 is added at this. 5 is okay, maintaining fine. Okay. Sometimes it will match, but you see, there is no particular order, guys. It's not neither ascending or, you see, because you say 0, 99, then 5 is coming. It's not neither ascending or descending. It is a random order, guys. The elements will be stored in a random order inside the hash set. The order will not be preserved. So here, so for two things, two differences. Here indexing is there, here indexing is not there. Here element adding order is preserved in case of array list that I showed you just now. Here random order, the order in which they will be stored in the hash set, we don't know. It will be coming in some random order. It's neither ascending or descending also. Okay. Third thing is duplicate elements are allowed in array list. Okay. When you print out this array list here, array list, you see this is the array list, right? You see duplicate elements 9, 9. How many times 9 got duplicated here? 4 times. Okay. Remaining all elements are not duplicate, but 9 is accepted here and is stored because because the first 9 is at the index 0, second 9 is at the index 1. Okay, third 9 is at the index 3 and fourth 9 is at the index 4, because of which it is allowing you to add the duplicate elements to the array list. But coming to the hash set, duplicates are not allowed. They will be ignored. You will not get any compiler error, but out of 4 nines I am giving here, 9999, it only considered 1 9. Remaining 3 nines, it's ignored. It will not allow duplicate elements to be stored into the hash set, okay? So apart from storing the elements in random order, here duplicate elements will not be allowed. So that's another difference. And here I told you, right, in array list, we have add and get methods. Here you see, we have add method. Similarly, here also we have add method, but as it doesn't have get method, array list has get method, okay? So for example, here, if I write something system.out.println, a list dot get of, if I give the index value 3, what is there at the index 3? 9 is there, okay? System.out.println, a list dot get of, let's say 8. What is there at the index 8? 99 is there. System.out.println, a list dot get of, let's say 2. What is there at the index 2? 5 is there. Okay, if I run this code, you see whatever the index I provided to this get method of this array list, get method is available, guys. Okay, with the help of index, it will retrieve the element object from the array list, and there's some error here. What is the error actually? Save this. I don't see this as an error. Sometimes it happens where just close and open the file, some temporary glitch maybe. Yeah, here some extra thing here. That's the reason it's not working. Fine. Now run this code. Get method is there, and you will see that 9, 99, 5 got printed. Okay. So at the index 3, what is there? At the index 3, 9 is there printed. At the index 8, what is there? 99 is there. So 99 got printed. At the index 2, what is there? 5 is there. So 5 got printed. So with the help of index, we can retrieve and print. So get of index method is there. But do we have the same get of index method in the hash? Since indexing concept is not there, if you even try to do so, system.out.println, hset dot get method is not there. You see, if I type G here, get of index method is not there. That's only there with the array list. But hash set, it is not there. Then what else? Here, we can use all the 3 loops like for loop, for each loop, iterator loop with the array list. But with the hash set, only for each loop and iterator we can use for iterating. Normal for loop we cannot use. Because there is an indexing concept here. If I remove this, instead of writing like this and all, okay, I'll remove the print statement also. I'll use the normal for loop with the array list again. Okay, for int I is equal to index 0. Here I'll give 0 as the index. Okay, I less than the size of the array list. I'll simply say a list dot size. Okay, this will get the size of the array list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I less than 10. So up to the index 9, that means I plus plus. And here I'll print it out something like this. System.out.println, system.out.println, a list dot get method we know, right? Get of index, get of I will say, instead of giving the value here, I'll say get of I. Now if I run the code, all the elements in the array list will be printed with this normal for loop. You see, 99, 599, 06, 122, 99, 521. Okay, all the elements got printed. Okay, so a normal for loop we can use. Can we use this normal for loop with the hash set for int I is equal to? I cannot use it because there is no indexing concept. Okay, since there is no indexing concept, I don't know this element is stored at, there's no indexing, so I cannot give 0 or something. Okay, so normal for loop I cannot use with the hash set. Okay, but with array list and hash set there is a common thing. Okay, though normal for loop can be used with array list but cannot be used with hash set, but for each remaining loops like for each loop and iterator can be used with both array list and hash set, guys. Okay, array list and hash set supports for each and iterator loops, but here only for each loop and iterator are supported. Normal for loop is not supported, which is supported by array list. Okay, so how to use for each loop with array list and hash set, I'll show you just now. So here I'll remove this normal for loop, which can be only used with array list but not with the hash set. So I'll use a normal for loop. Here each and every element that is stored in this array list is of integer type. So I'll simply say integer I colon a list. Okay, like this I can write and run this code. Write the print statement here, directly print I. For each and every element in this array list, it will iterate and print. Okay, array list has this many elements. First element, that is 9, will be assigned to I in the first iteration, and 9 object will be printed. Second element, again 9 will be assigned and 9 will be printed. Then third element 5 will be assigned to I and printed. Like that, it will keep on iterating till all the elements in this array list are completed. This is for each loop. And the best loop that you can choose for array list or any other collections classes is for each loop, guys. You should not be using normal for loop. Though array list supports the for loop because of the indexing concept, but still, if there is a possibility of choosing between the normal for loop and for each loop, we generally go with the for each loop with array list or hash set. Okay. Run this and see that all the elements of the array list will be printed. 9959906122199 all the elements got printed with the help of for each loop. The same for each loop. Okay, the same for each loop we can use with the hash set also. There's no problem. Okay. So for each and every element in the hash set is integer type. So I'll say for integer, okay, e colon hash set like this. Okay. And system.out.println, system.out.println. Here I print e. Okay. I'll just write a separation statement here. Otherwise, you'll not understand what output came from array list printing and what output came from hash set printing. Okay. Now run the code and observe that here before this line, all the array list elements got printed, and after the line, hash set elements got printed with the help of for each loop. Okay. So here, here we can use for each loop. Okay. But only the unique values are accepted here. Duplicate values are accepted here in the array list, but duplicate values are ignored here. Okay. Only this many elements you got. That's the reason. Fine. So you can also use iterator, guys. Instead of for each loop, you can also use iterator here. How to use iterator with array list and hash set so this a list dot. I have to simply say a list dot iterator semicolon. There's the iterator method which belongs to the array list class or its parent collection interface. Okay, since array list is child class of the collection interface, iterator method is inherited by the array list, and it will return you the iterator interface. Iterator itr is equal to, and here import this iterator from java.util package. Okay, and after that, warning message will come. You have to provide the same type of object integer here. The warning message will go off. Now you can write this while itr dot as next. This method you have to use of iterator interface method has next is there that you have to use. Okay, then simply print it out system.out.println itr.next. This is the logic for iterator. We can use this iterator for looping purpose with array list. Okay, the same thing we can use with hash set also. Okay, here also I'll say itr2, I'll say itr1, I'll say. Okay, itr1, here itr1, itr1 dot next, itr1 dot has next. Okay, here also I'll say itr2, I'll say itr2, I'll say. But here instead of array list, I'll use hash set. Okay, you can use the same iterator method. You can call the same iterator method because hash set is also a grandchild class of the collection interface, and it is also similar to array list. It will also inherit this iterator method, and the return type of the iterator is iterator interface, and the iterator interface has two methods like as next and next. The same logic I have written, guys, and if I run the code, you will see that the same output, whatever the for each loop output you got, right, the same thing you will get it here. Okay, for both array list and hash set, but only the normal for loop cannot be used with the hash set, guys. Okay, normal for loop can be used with array list, but cannot be used with the hash set. That's the difference. So here array list has a parent interface known as list interface, whereas hash set parent interface is set interface. It will be something like that. I'll show you in the diagram how it will be. Okay, there is something like collection interface. Okay, the hierarchy I'll show you. There will be something like collection interface. This is collection interface. Under the collection interface, we have this is an interface case, predefined interface under the collection framework. Under the collection interface, we have this list interface. Okay, we have list interface. That is the interface known as list. Okay, again we have something known as set interface. Okay, these are the two child interface of the collection interface, and the child of the list interface is array list class. Array list class is the child class of the list interface, whereas hash set is a child class of the set interface. Okay, hash set is a child class of the set interface. This is what is the diagram all about, guys. Okay, so you can clearly see that array list is the child class of the list interface, whereas hash set is the child class of the set interface. But array list and hash set, there is a common thing. They are the grandchildren of the collection interface. Okay, that is a common thing. But differentiator is The immediate parent interface is list interface for array list. Immediate parent interface asset is a set interface. Okay. With this note, guys, I have completely explained and practically demonstrated all the differences between this array list and asset in Java. So with practical demonstration, I answer this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, extract Waggle from www.waggle.com and convert that extracted text into Google in Java programming or using Java programming. Let me explain this question in a better way. So guys, you will be provided with some string text that is having some string text like www.waggle.com. So after taking that string text, from that string text, you have to extract this Waggle. Only this Waggle part you have to extract and then convert that extracted Waggle string text into Google. Okay, that's what you have to do. You have to write a Java program for that. How do you will do? This question is being asked in one of the recent interviews, guys. So let me demonstrate. I'll just go here and create a new class in this Eclipse IDE in one of the project of this, okay, Eclipse IDE. Here, I'll just name this as class 18, some random name I am giving with main method. Once I do that, inside the main method, I'm going to write a string text, okay? I'm going to create a string. String str is equal to www.waggle.com, okay? So this is a real question, we got in the interview recent interview question, guys. Okay, there may be a lot of interview questions asked in the previous, from previous years, but this one is kind of a real question from recent interviews. Okay, so from this Waggle, first I have to, from this www.waggle.com, we have to extract this Waggle part. How do you do that? So I'll simply use something like this: str.split function. Okay, split of regular expression I have to give here. So I want to separate this into 3 words. www, I would like to separate. Waggle, I would like to separate. Com, I would like to separate. What is the separation point here? Dot is the separation point. So if I put dot here, is it possible for me to segregate this www.waggle.com into 3 words? First word containing www, second word containing Waggle, and third word containing com. Is it possible with help of this dot regular expression? Let's see and find it out. It will return you string array. Okay, string array. I'll say AR is equal to, like that I'll say. I would like to print out this, system.out.println AR of 0. I'm just expecting that in the first index of the string, we'll have www. Again, system.out.println AR of 1. It will extract the, I'm just hoping that because of this dot, second word will be segregated and stored into the index 1 position of this string, AR string. And the last one, I'm just expecting that to be com. Okay, AR of 2 at the second index. There are 3 words separated by dot. Since split method can be used to separate this, I'm just expecting that when I print AR of 0, ww will be printed. When I'm printing AR of 1, Waggle will be printed. When I'm printing AR of 2, com will be printed. But let's run it out. Let's run it and see what is happening. You see, I thought we will get ww printed here, Waggle printed here, com will be printed here. But what got printed? Nothing got printed. Instead, we got array index out of bounds exception. There is nothing stored, guys. This split method has not done anything and has not stored anything. No elements were stored into this string array. Split was not working properly with this dot. The reason behind that is we have to add this escape sequence in order to use dot as a separation point for converting this single string into multiple strings separated by dot, right? I have to use this escape sequence. But another problem is inside the string text, inside this double quotes of the string literal, you cannot provide single backward slash. You have to provide, to represent a single backward slash, you have to provide double backward slash, then it is okay. Now this will represent this actual dot and now it will start separation. If you don't write like this, dot is not going to be used as separation point for this particular string text, guys. Okay. Now earlier what you got, array index out of bounds exception, because with the dot regular expression, it's not separating it. It's not finding dot and it's not able to segregate and store into that. Okay. So now when I provide escape sequence like, there's a double backward slash dot inside the string literal, it will work like a, escape sequence like dot, and now it is going to separate these words. Okay. In other cases, the normal, if you give G here, it will separate case. For example, if I give only G here, it is going to separate. Whenever G occurs, www will be one word that will be stored into string array. And after G, what is that? WA. The WA will be there. Again, G came and remaining part, lee.com will be stored into the AR3. You see, with G, it will work fine. But with dot, it will not work fine. Split is not working with dot. Okay, it's a tricky question, guys. You see www dot. The moment G came, the split happened. The initial split went to AR of 0. And then WA. Next one is what? WA. Okay, second. And third one is after this one, after G, le.com. Le.com came here. You see, like this, it separates. But with the dot, it will not work, guys. It will not work. You will get array index out of bounds exception, because the array index out of bounds exception is coming because no split is not working with this regular expression. To make this work with this dot kind of stuff, with G, you don't have to provide double backward slash, but with dot, you have to provide double backward slash. Then only it will act like a escape sequence, and it will act like dot. Slash dot will act like dot. Okay. And single backward slash dot will not be possible inside the string literal. So we have to add double backward slash so that it will be converted into the single backward slash dot. Okay, internally. And it will make sure that with the help of dot, the separation happens. So www will go into this AR of 0. Waggle will go into AR of 1, and com will go into this AR of 2. Okay, let's run this code and see that in AR of 1, what is getting printed in the second place. You see, Waggle has been printed. So I don't need AR of 0 now. I don't need AR of 2 now. I just want AR of 1 because I wanted to extract as part of this program, Java program. First, I have to extract this Waggle text from www.waggle.com. That is a half thing of the Java program that I have accomplished now. You see, in the output, you'll get Waggle. It's working fine, right? We were able to extract. Now, that is not the thing that we want. Now, we want to convert this Waggle into Google and print in the output. Okay. So, how to do that? To convert that, here AR of 1 contains Waggle. I'll use a method known as replace method. Okay. Replace. You can use like this. Okay. If I want me to write the program in a descriptive manner, AR of 1 will contain Waggle, that extracted Waggle, dot. I'll use a string method known as replace. Replace what? I would like to replace this WA with OO. Here in double quotes, give WA. This WA need to be replaced with OO so that it will become Google instead of Waggle. Okay, OO. And now this replace will return you. This replace method will return you a string final str, I'll say. Okay, the modified str, that where we extracted Waggle from this str and converted, and I'm going to replace WA in that Waggle to OO. So it will become Google. And when I print this, system.out.println, if I print like this, final str, if I print, you'll see that Google will be printed. Okay. Waggle will be extracted here, and that will be in the Waggle, WA will be replaced with the O, and finally it will print Google. Okay. The input is www.waggle.com and the output is google.com, which is the result of this program, the expected result of this program. So with practical demonstration, hope you understood how to extract Waggle text from www.waggle.com and convert that to Google in Java programming. Okay. So I'll just write down the code here in the notes so that you can get it. Code, and the code here is, this is a code, guys. Okay. I'll just write this amount of code only. I don't want to mention everything. I just want to write only that portion of the code, and I'll just organize it properly. The underlying logic. This is underlying logic you can write inside the main method or whatever it is to get the result. Okay. So hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the difference between array list, hash set, and hash map in Java? Let me answer. First of all, this array list, hash set, hash map are predefined classes under collections framework in Java. Fine, but they have some differences. Though these three things are a predefined classes under collections framework in Java, they have some differences. So you may get a kind of question in the interview asking for the differences between these three items in general. Okay. So I'll start with array list, guys. There is something known as indexing concept in array list. And in hash set, there is no indexing concept. Whereas in hash map, there is no indexing concept. What exactly is this indexing means? Indexing means the first element that you are adding to the array list will be stored at the index 0 of this array list memory. The second element that you add to the array list will be stored at the index 1, third element at the index 2, and so on, guys. Okay. Here indexing concept is there in array list. But coming to the hash set, there is no indexing concept. And the hash map also, there is no indexing concept. Because of this indexing concept, there are a lot of differences that come between this array list, hash set, and hash map. The second difference that I would like to talk about here is order is preserved. That means the order in which you are adding the elements to the array list is preserved. That means the same order in which they are added to the array list, the same order in which they will be stored into the array list. In the memory also, they will be stored in the same order. Okay. If you add one element to the array list, that will be stored in the first position. Okay. And the second element added to the array list will be there in the second position. Okay. The order will be preserved, guys. The order in which you are adding the elements to the array list, the same order, the elements will be stored in the array list. But coming to the hash set, there is no indexing concept. So random order, guys. Here random order, guys. Here there is no random order. In array list, there is no random order. Order is preserved because of the indexing, because the first element will be stored at the index 0, second element at the index 1, third element at the index 2, and so on, right? But here in hash set, there is no indexing concept. That's why the elements will be stored in a random order. The order in which you are adding the elements to the hash set will be different from the order in which they are actually stored in the hash set. The same thing applies for the hash map also. Here also random order, guys. Okay, here also random order. But what is the main difference between array list, hash set, and hash map? So when I compare this hash map with array list and hash set together, hash map has one unique difference, that is here elements will be stored in key value pair objects. Key value pair objects. Like name, Arun. Okay, here name is a key, Arun is a value. Like that, key value pair objects will be there. But here only value objects will be there. Value object, no pair. Here pair objects, key value pair object. Here only value object. Here also value object. Here also value object. Here also value object. But here key value pair object. Okay. Key value pair object. Fine. So array list, hash map, hash set, hash map. In hash map, the main difference between the hash map and when compared to the array list and hash set is that key value pair object is there in the hash map, whereas in array list and hash set, we have value object only. Fine. Cool. Then what next? The next thing is here indexing is there, order is preserved, value object format is there, and here since indexing concept is there, it allows duplicate elements or objects. Allow duplicates. Okay, array list will allow you to add duplicates. That means if you add integer object say 9 multiple times into the same array list, it will store that different objects at different indexes. Because of the indexing concept, the duplicate values or objects can be stored into the array list. One of the duplicate value will be stored at the index 0, another duplicate value will be stored at the index 1, 2, and so on. Okay, so because of the indexing differentiation, duplicates are allowed, will not get any compiler error. Instead, it will store the duplicate objects into this array list. But coming to the hash set, duplicates are ignored. Duplicates are ignored. It will not give you no compiler error here. Okay, you will not get any error here in the hash set, but it will not accept. That means it will simply ignore. If you enter multiple duplicate objects into this hash set, if you try to add that to the hash set, what happens? Out of the duplicate objects, only one will be considered. Remaining all duplicates will be ignored. They will not be added to the memory, or they will not be stored into the hash set. There will not be any compiler error. What about here? What about the duplicates here? Coming to the duplicates, allowed or not? Duplicates allowed is a question. Here the answer is both yes and no, guys. Okay, both yes and no. Both yes and no. Why I'm saying yes and why I'm saying no is, you see, duplicates are, first I'll say no, guys. Okay, I'll explain about no. First I'll say why it is no, then I'll explain why it is yes. A mixed answer will be there here, guys. A mixed answer will be there. I'm not able to move it here somehow. Yeah, now it moved. Fine. First I'm saying no. Here, you already know in the hash map this is not a single value object, it is a key value object. Coming to the key object, it is no. Key objects cannot be duplicated. For example, name Arun, name Varun if you give. That name key cannot be duplicated. Only one will be considered, remaining will be ignored. Okay. The key, duplicate keys will be ignored. Okay. Duplicate keys will be ignored, guys. Why? Why duplicate keys will be ignored, guys? Why duplicate keys will be ignored? Because the keys need to be unique, guys. Okay, the duplicates are not allowed. Okay, so here duplicates should be unique. You cannot have multiple keys with the same name, like name is equal to Arun, name is equal to Varun, name is equal to Tarun, like that. Okay, if you give that duplicate keys, they will be ignored, guys. You will not, no compiler error. No compiler error will come saying that you are adding some duplicate keys to this particular hash map. Such kind of error you will not get. But what will happen is latest value of duplicate key will be considered. Latest value assigned to the duplicate key will be considered. For example, if I add something like name is equal to Arun, name is equal to Varun, name is equal to Tarun kind of key value paste, the final one is name is equal to Tarun will be considered, name is equal to Arun, Varun will be ignored. The duplicate initial duplicates will be ignored and it will take the latest one. Why I'm saying yes for duplicates allowed means here value object. For the value object, it is yes, guys. You see, there can be different keys. For example, place is one key, location is another key. If I give place as Hyderabad and location as Hyderabad, here values are duplicated, but it's allowed because they are differentiated with the keys. So values can be duplicated. The answer is yes for value object of this hash map. For key object, the answer is no. For value object, the answer is yes. Okay. Duplicate values can be assigned to different keys. Okay, hence duplicate values are allowed, value objects are allowed. Okay, so that's the thing, guys. Okay, because place is equal to Hyderabad, location is equal to Hyderabad. Here place is the key, Hyderabad is same. Okay, your location is the key and Hyderabad is same, but it is accepted by hash map because the keys are different. So like the indexing is differentiating the duplicate values, here keys are differentiating the duplicate values. Okay, so in hash map, duplicate values are allowed, but the duplicate keys are not allowed. They are ignored. Instead, you will not get any compiler error, but latest value of the duplicate key will be considered. Okay, so far these are the differences we had. And coming to this array list, few more differences I will cover here. Here, because of the indexing concept, okay, because of the indexing concept, we have a method known as get. Add and get methods are there. Add and get methods are there. Okay, here get of index method. There's a method like get of index method. Okay, so because indexing concept is there, this get of index method is there, and along with the get of index, we have add method also. But here coming to the hash set, we don't have this both the methods. Only add method is there. Only add method is there. No get method. No get method. Okay, no get method. Here get method is not there, guys. Only add method is there. Then coming to this, no get of index method. Okay, no get of index method. Fine. Now coming to this one, what about this hash map? In the hash map, we don't have add method. Instead, we have put method. In order to add the elements to the hash map, we should not be using the add method, which is same for array list and hash set for adding the elements to the array list or hash set. But coming to the hash map, we have to use put method. We have to use put method. Okay, for adding instead of add method. And what about get method? Here we have get method, but it's not the same get method. Get of key method is there. Okay, here you see get of index is there. Here get of key is there. Here get method itself is not there. Okay, no get of index method or no get of key methods. Okay, key method. But here get of key is there. Here get of index is there. Here add is there. Here put is there. Okay, like there's some differences, guys. What else we have in the array list? Because of this indexing concept, normal for loop normal for loop is allowed along with for each and iterator stuff. Iterator for iterating through the elements. Okay. But coming to hash set, here there is no indexing concept. Normal for loop is not allowed. Cannot be used. We cannot use, cannot be used. We cannot use normal for loop, guys. Instead, for each loop, and the other one is, iterator we can use for iterating. We can use for each loop and iterator, but we cannot use normal for loop. Here also, we cannot use normal for loop, cannot be used because here also indexing concept is not there. Hence, normal, I mean, for each loop and iterator can be used. We cannot use other stuff. Okay. Yeah. So these are the differences, guys. These are the high level differences of the array list, hash set, hash map. Okay, these are the different differences we have between the array list, hash set, and hash map. Fine. So in array list, we have indexing. Because of the indexing, all these things are possible. Okay, and we have the different methods and all that I have explained here. Anyhow, let me practically demonstrate this for you. So I'll go here and create a new class. Right click new class I'll create. I'll just name this class as class 19. Okay, some random name with main method. So inside this class, first I'm going to create an array list. Array list, a list is equal to new array list like this. And say control shift O, it will import the array list from java.util package and here provide less than greater than symbol, let's say integer. Okay. Now let's try to add the elements to this array list. Here I told you, right, indexing concept is there and we have to use a method known as add method. Okay. Indexing concept is there. We have to use a method add method for adding the elements to the array list. So a list object reference a list dot add of I'll say 9. Okay. Again, I'll add a list dot add of again one more 9 object. Okay. Integer object, that is a list dot add of 5. A list dot add of 9. Then a list dot add of again 9. A list dot add of then 0. Then a list dot add of 6. A list dot add of 123. 122 otherwise. Okay. Then a list dot add of 99. Then a list dot add of 279. Okay. Some different elements I am adding, guys. Okay. Different elements I am adding and all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 elements I have added, guys. Okay. 10 elements I have added here. So what I'll do here is, so here, this element will be stored at the index 0. This element will be stored at the index 1. Here indexing concept is there with array list. Here this element will be stored at the index 2. This element at the index 3. This element at the index 4. This element at the index 5. This element at the index 6. This element at the index 7. This element at the index 8. This element at the index 9. Like this. 0 to 9 indexing, it will be there. Now if I print it out, if I print out this array list, what will be happening? The next difference here, indexing concept is there, but in hash set we don't have indexing concept. I'll also first I'll do one thing. I have added the elements, right? In hash set also I'll try to add the elements. Hash set is equal to new hash set. Control shift O, it will import this hash set and here provide integer, let's say, and add the same elements. Add the same elements here. Whatever the elements that I have added to the, okay, whatever the elements I have added to the array list, I would like to add it here. Okay. So then array list integer array list is equal to new array list hash set integer hash set is equal to new hash set, and here I'll just write down. Here indexing concept is not there, guys. If I say set dot add, okay, set add set dot add set dot add, here indexing concept won't be there for the hash set. Okay, indexing concept won't be there for the hash set. I'll just remove the indexing here. There's no indexing concept in hash set, guys. Indexing concept is only there for the array list, but for the hash set, indexing concept is not there. Okay, I'll just removing the indexing part here as a comments, whatever the indexing I have written, that won't be applicable for the hash set. That's the first difference. What about the hash map? Is the indexing concept there? Here hash map also indexing concept is not there. I'll just try to create a hash map. Hash map hmap is equal to new hash map. Then control shift O. Then here key value, I'll say string, comma, object I will say. And then here put less than greater than symbol. That's it. Now after that, here I'll write down hmap dot. Here add method won't be there. I told you rather difference. I told you, right? In array list, we have the add method to add the elements to the array list. In hash set, we have the add method to add the elements to the hash set. But in hash set, we don't have the add method. Instead, we have the put method. We have the put method. So I have to use, instead of add, I have to use put method. Dot put I have to use. And you have to provide key value pair objects. Okay. And one more difference I told you, right? In array list, we have value object only. Only one type of value object you have to store. 9 object, 9 value object, 5 value object, 6 value object, like that. Okay. Here also hash set also 9 value object. All these are value objects. But here in hash map, we have to provide key value pair objects. Key is in string format. For example, I'll just give the key as name. Okay. And here I'll give the value object as Arun. Okay. Then I'll say hmap dot put of let's say experience. Experience is like, let's say I'll give 17 years of experience. Put a semicolon here. Hmap dot put of then I'll say location. Location I'll give it as Hyderabad. Okay, these three values, three key value pair objects I have given. Here we have used put method, guys. Okay, here we have used put method. Fine, guys. Here we got the put method. Fine. Okay. Next thing is here we have this array list. Here we have the hash set, and here we have the hash map. And array list has indexing concept. Hash map doesn't have the indexing concept, and hash set doesn't have the indexing concept. Hash map doesn't have the indexing concept. And here, in order to add the elements to the array list, we have to use add method. In order to add the elements to the hash set, we have to use add method. And in order to add the elements to the hash map, we have to use put method. Okay, we have to use put method. Those are the differences I told you so far. The next thing is that since indexing is there, order is preserved here. Okay, in array list, order is preserved, but in case of hash set, random order, hash map also will store the elements in random order. Okay, so how can I find out whether these elements that are added in a particular order to the array list are stored in as per the preserved order, in the order in which they are added to the array list, the same way they will be stored in the array list. How can I confirm that? I have to print it out. Okay, I'll print the array list here. I'll just put a line here just for separation point of view. And here also, I'll try to print the hash set. Here what happens? The order in which I have added the elements to the hash set will differ from the order in which they are actually stored in the hash set. Okay. So I'll try to print out the okay. So I'll print out this hash set. And then I'll just use a line here. Just for separation purpose, guys. Okay. Now I would like to also print hash map here. And here I would like to print the hash map. There's no need of any line. Run the code and see that array list elements will be stored in the same order in which they are added to the array list. And whereas hash set, some errors are there. So let me close and open this file. Sometimes some temporary glitches come. So yeah, here less than greater than symbol is missing. And apart from that, here double quotes, we have to put this line under. We have to put this line under the double quotes. And here also we have to put the line under the double quotes. Put a semicolon. Done. Underscore. Run the code. Right click. Run as Java application. Run the code. You see, observe that. We got 99599. The same order, you see. 99599. 06, 122, 99, 279. Okay. The second one you see, it's not in the same order. 9 is there here. It's added initially, but it's there. 0 is added here, but came here. 99 is added here, but it's a random order. You see, it's neither ascending nor descending, but it's a random order. So the next thing is third one, hash map also. You see, it's not the same order. First name was there, but here name is coming in the second position. Experience was in second, it came in the first position, and location was last it came. So these two are random orders, whereas this is the preserved order, same order in which you are adding the elements. So that proves that in array list, the order in which you have added the elements to the array list will be stored in the same order, guys. Okay. Now coming to the value object, already have seen that here only value objects can be stored. Only one value object can be stored. Here also hash set also only one value object can be stored. But in coming to the hash map, key value pair objects can be stored into the hash map. Okay, key value pair objects can be stored into the hash map. The third difference is done. Now array list will allow duplicates. If you can see here in the output, when I printed this array list, guys, if you see in the output, no matter how many times I gave 9 here, 99, 599, 06, 122, 99, 279, no matter how many times 9 I gave, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But here, you see what's happening here? The first 9 is stored at the index 0, second 9 at the index 1. Because of the indexing concept, duplicates are allowed. You can add as many number of duplicates as you want. But coming to the hash set, duplicates will not be allowed, guys. Duplicates are not allowed in hash set. You see here, I'm trying to add 9, the same number of times that I have added to the array list. You see 9999. But here only 19 is there. Only unique one-time values are coming. If duplicates are there, it is ignoring that duplicates. Only out of 4 9s, only 1 9 has been considered. That proves that duplicates are ignored. Okay. But what about this hash map? I told you, right, in the hash map, keys duplicates cannot be allowed. That means key duplicates will be ignored, whereas value duplicates will be accepted because keys will be different. So how can I prove you that is? For example, here I'll write down here hmap dot put off. Again, I'll say name. I'm duplicating the key here. You see, name is already there here. I'm duplicating it here, and I'll give a different name. Let's say Varun. Okay. And here hmap dot put off. I'll say place. I'll create a new key and the value I'll duplicate. This value, Hyderabad value, I'll duplicate here. There's no problem with the duplicate values. It will accept, but duplicate keys, it will not accept. Duplicate values can be accepted. That's the reason I told you, right? Value objects can be duplicated, but key objects cannot be duplicated. If you try to duplicate the key objects, the latest value will be considered here. Name Varun means only name Varun will be considered. Old value name Arun will not be considered. It will be ignored. Okay. Only duplicate keys are not allowed. Duplicate values are allowed. Here you see location and place. The keys are different, but values are same. So values can be duplicated, but keys cannot be duplicated. Let's run this and see that. Here in hash set, duplicates are not allowed. They are ignored. Compiler error won't come, but only one of the duplicate values will be considered. Here, coming to the hash map, duplicate keys will be ignored. Only one key out of the duplicate keys will be considered. For example, name is equal to Varun is considered. Name is equal to Arun is nowhere else. But place is equal to Hyderabad, location is equal to Hyderabad is considered because value can be duplicated for different keys. Okay, but name, the key cannot be duplicated. Okay, that proves duplicates. Then the next thing is, already I told you, right, here we have the add method, here we have the add method, but here we have the put method. But coming to the next method, get method, in array list, we have the get method. Okay, if you want to retrieve the elements, okay, if you want to retrieve the elements like system.out.println, system.out.println, sorry, not here, array list I'm going to show you. This is a hash set. I'll go to the array list. In array list, if I have to duplicate the elements, sorry, if I want to retrieve the elements, I have a command known as get of index command. So I say system.out.println, a list dot get of. I'll give something like 7. What will happen at the index 7? Which value object is there? 122. That will be retrieved. Get of index method is there for retrieving the value object that is stored in the array list at that particular provided index. Now 122 should be printed, guys. In the output, 122 should be printed. If that works fine, you see 122 got printed. What about the hash set? Do we have that kind of get of index method? No. In hash set, we don't have any. No get method at all. No get method. Either get of method or get of key index or get of key method is not there. Okay. So coming to the hash set, there is no get index or no get of key method. Okay. Only add method is there in hash set. Here add method is there along with the get of index is there, which is not there in the hash set. Okay. That's another difference. And coming to the hash map. And coming to the hash map, guys. Coming to the hash map. We have put method. I told you for adding the element, we will not use add method. We have put method instead. And along with that, we have get method is there, but this is not same get method. Here get of index is there. Here get of key is there. Okay. So how can I use that get of key is, for example, system.out.println. hmap dot get method, you can use it, but it's not get of index, it's get of key. I have to provide the key name. For example, if I provide the key name as experience, okay, get of key of experience, it will retrieve 17 here. Okay, whatever the value that is assigned to that key will be retrieved and printed. 17 will be printed in the output case. You see, it's not get of index, it's get of key, but here get of index will be there in the array list. But as said, no get method. Either get of index is not there, nor get of key is not there. Okay, both the things are not there in the asset. So the methods are fine. And coming to the array list, because of the indexing concept, for loop is allowed, guys. Okay, normal for loop is allowed. We can use normal for loop because we have the indexing concept. So how can I use the normal for loop with array list? Here I can write down, guys. Okay, here I can write down. I'll remove all this stuff and write down for int I is equal to 0, I less than the size of this array list, that is a list dot size, then I plus plus, and here I'll print out system.out.println a list dot get of I. Like this, if I write the logic, I can use a normal for loop to print all the elements of the array list. Okay, normal for loop can be used because of the indexing concept, indexing 0 to index less than the size of the array list. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I less than 10 means up to 9. That means 0 to 9. Starts with 0 till less than 10 means 9. Till the 10 iterations, it will go from 0 to 9, and it will print a list dot get of 0 means it will print 9. A list dot get of 1 means it will get 9. A list dot get of 2 means it will get 5, and so on. Okay. So run the code. You see, 9959906122299 Okay, here 17 is coming. Here 17 is coming. 17 is coming for this. You are trying to get the experience, right? That's the reason you are getting 17. But here, whatever the values you got, you see, with the for loop, normal for loop. Can you use a normal for loop with asset or hash map? No, you cannot use a normal for loop, guys. Why? Because indexing concept is not there. You cannot write for int I is equal to 0. Here, there is no indexing concept. You have to use you have to use for each loop, guys. Okay. In this case, normal for loop cannot be used. You have to use for each loop. For each loop can also be used with arrays. I mean, for each loop can also be used with array list, hash map, and hash set. All the three. But for loop can only be used with arrays only, because array list only, because of the indexing concept. Okay. But for each loop can be used here. Instead of normal for loop, I can use for each loop. For each and every element in this array list is integer type. Integer I colon array list name. Now print it out. Okay. Here instead of normal for loop, I can use for each loop with the array list. I'll print I. Okay. Run the code. All the elements will be printed. Okay. There is a mistake somewhere. Let me close and open and see what is the mistake. Where is a mistake? Yeah, here. Okay, I just have to remove this code. Okay, fine. Normal for loop and for each loop and iterator can be used with array list. Okay, so I can just print it out. Right click run as Java application, and you see normal for loop is used. For each loop can be used. Same output. The same for each loop can be used with the asset also, guys. Same for each loop can also be used with the asset. That is for integer, let's say a or h, otherwise h colon h set. I'll print out the h here. Okay. Now run the code and you will see that all the elements of the asset will be printed in some random order. That's okay. But duplicate values will not be there, and they will be printed in some random order. Okay. So we can use for each loop with the asset. What about, can we use the for each loop with the hash map? Yes, we can use the for each loop with the hash map also. So how to do that? For that, I have to write like this for each loop. So I have to write in a different way, guys. For here, each and every key is of which type? String type. So I'll write string. Okay. String k, and here hash map dot. There's something like key set. There's some method like key set. It will return set of strings, and here I'll print k, which is a key. It will retrieve all the keys, and for each and every key, I have to get the value. I have to use a get of key method. Plus get of k. Get of k means that is hatchmap dot get of k. Okay, run the code and observe that all the key value pairs will be printed in this hash map. You see all the key value pairs got printed. You can use a for each loop like this with the hash map also. Similarly, there is one more loop known as iterator loop, guys. Iterator. Okay, that also you can use with array list, asset, and hash map. All the three things. Okay. Okay, fine. So that's all, guys. We can also use iterator here for each loop. Iterator with all the three things, but normal for loop can only be used with array list. Normal for loop cannot be used with asset or hash map. You can try out the iterator, guys. How to use the iterator, you already know, right? It's very simple. So here, a list dot iterator, right, like this, and it will return you iterator interface, itr, and here hold the mouse and say create import this from java.util package. Here give the type that is integer type. Then here write down while itr dot has next and here print out system.out.println itr dot next. This will iterate through all the elements of the array list and they will be printed in the output. You see, they got printed as it is. Okay. Similarly, you can use this iterator with asset also. Instead of the for each loop, you can use iterator here. I'll say itr2, and here I'll say hash set dot iterator, and here I'll say itr2 dot hash next, itr2 dot next. Now run the code. It will iterate to the hash set also. It will iterate through the hash set also. You see. Now what about the iterator using the hash map? Instead of normal for each loop, we can use the iterate with the hash map also. Can we use iterator with hash map? Hash map dot iterator won't be used because you see the problem here is hash map belong to the map interface. Map interface doesn't have the iterator method. Okay, so there is a small mistake here. Iterator cannot be used here. Okay, that's a mistake. Okay, cannot be used here. Hash map doesn't have iterator method. Iterator is available for array list and hash set, but iterator cannot be used with hash map because hash set and array list belong to one interface, grandparent interface known as collection interface, which has a predefined method known as iterator method, because of which iterator can be worked with array list and hash set, but cannot be worked with hash map. Okay, only for each loop can be allowed with hash map. Iterator is not allowed. So with practical demonstration, I've answered all these things for you with detailed explanation and all. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, why strings are immutable in Java? Let me answer. Strings are immutable in Java because they cannot be updatable. But you may ask me, I can write a Java program where I can update the value of the string. Visually, it looks like you are updating the value. But if you see it internally, how it's updating, you will understand that strings are immutable. So let me explain, guys, what I am saying. Okay. For example, you create a Java program here. Visually, as a program wise, you will feel that string value is getting updated. Still, I am saying string is immutable in Java, non-updatable in Java. Okay. Why? I'll tell you the reasons. Okay. So I'll just create a class, say class 20, some random name with main method. Inside this, I'm going to create a string. Inside this class, inside the main method, I'm going to create a string. Let's say string name is equal to, I'll just say Arun. Okay. Now, I'll say name is equal to Varun here. And then name is equal to Tarun here. Now, if I print out the name, what will be printed? What will be printed, guys? Arun will be printed, or Varun will be printed, or Tarun will be printed. Here I'm saying strings are immutable in Java. That means you cannot update the values of strings. Not at the programmatical level. Programmatically, it looks good. Okay. Programmatically is okay, guys. You see, there is no problem in the program. Programmatically, you can update the value of the string. If I run this, the latest updated value, that is Tarun, will be printed. Okay. The latest updated value, that is Tarun, will be printed in the output. But here, there is a conflict, right? I'm saying that strings are immutable in Java. The question is coming from the interviewer saying that why strings are immutable in Java. But here I'm able to update the strings. So here immutable nature of the strings is not at the program visual level. It's not about the visual level. You have to understand what happens behind this program. When you say string name is equal to Arun, then name is equal to Varun, name is equal to Tarun, right? What happens internally is, let's say this is a computer memory. Let's assume that this is a computer memory. Initially, when you said string name is equal to Arun, so an object will be created. To that object, some memory will be allocated. Okay. And who is referring that? Name is a object reference. Okay. Name is a object reference. So here name is a object reference. I'll just say name. I'll give something like name, which is a object reference. And this name is referring to this object. This name object reference, which is the name, is referring to the memory location here, in which what is stored? The string value Arun is stored. Okay. Here Arun is stored. Arun is stored. Okay. The text, string text Arun is stored here. Fine. That's good. Now, the moment you say name is equal to Varun, what will happen? Do you think the Java will go to this memory location where Arun will be Arun is already saved and update this Arun with Varun here in the same memory location? That is not going to happen. The original value stays in the same memory, but the moment you try to update the value for this name with a different value, say Varun, what happens here is in the computer memory, another memory will be allocated to a new object will be created. A new object will be created just for this updation purpose. For the same name, a new object will be created. In that, Varun will be stored. Okay, in that Varun will be stored. In that Varun will be stored. And now name will be referring to this one. So here, as you can see, the original value still exists in the memory. We are not updating the value in the memory. Rather, to update the value here, we are creating a new memory location and creating the string again. Again, if you want to update, again, one more string you are going to create in the memory. Okay, you cannot update the existing memory value here. Arun, which is there in the existing memory, will not be updated. Rather, a new memory for the new object will be created and new value will come there, but not it will not update. You see, that's why you cannot update the value of this particular string text in the memory location internally, but externally it looks like the value is getting updated. But internally, what is happening with the strings? Every time you try to update the value, a new memory is getting allocated for the newly created object of the string. So 3 objects got created. In that last object, Tarun is there now. Okay, Tarun text is there now. And Tarun text is there in the last memory location. And here this particular name is now referring to Tarun, and the old reference will be gone. Name is now currently referring to the third object. Other 2 objects still exist in the computer memory, and after a period of time, Java has some Java has some automatic cleaning mechanism. Okay, so garbage collector, its name is garbage collector. It will check if there are any memory things that are there in the computer memory which are not referred by any variables or by object references, etc. Such kind of memories, Java garbage collector will delete later point of time. But ultimately, what's happening here is multiple objects are getting created. Instead of updating the value in the same object memory, a new object and new updated value is coming, new value and new updated value. Not only for this, guys. Okay, if you do any other operation, like for example, if I say name dot concat, okay, Tarun, concat that with space Bhaskar, okay, Tarun Bhaskar. And if I print out this name here, see what is happening. What will be printed in the output? Okay, and this will return you some string, guys. Okay, string. A new object is getting created for concatenation. You see, the methods are also like this, guys. When you say concat, again you have to store into another string. Okay, string concat, and it's not updating the Tarun value. Okay, it's not concatenating in the name, whatever the object reference to which name is currently referring. It's not updating there. I have to create a new string here. Okay, I'll say full name. Okay, like that I have to create another string. You cannot update the value You cannot update the value of the current string and change it to Tarun Bhaskar. You see, when I say name.concat and try to print, it's still printing Tarun instead of Tarun Bhaskar because the value cannot be updated, right? Using the concat function. Again, we have to store that into a separate string and then print it out. Okay, here you see full name. Whether you update the value or whether you use this kind of functions to update the value, okay, a new string need to be created. Now see, another string got created. Another computer memory in the computer memory, some memory got reserved for another string, and to which who is referring now? Full name. Full name. Object reference is now referring to that. Okay, full name. Object reference is referring to this. The new one, instead of updating this Tarun with Tarun space Bhaskar, here it's not happening, guys. Whenever you perform using some commands, also what's happening? The Tarun Bhaskar is there here, guys. Okay. Tarun Bhaskar is there here. The problem here is string is immutable in nature. That's the reason all the functions, predefined methods of the strings or whatever the values you update to the existing variables of the strings, right? Okay, they keep on creating new object memories here instead of working on the same values that are stored in the object memories. Okay, every time you do some modification, updation, concatenation, whatever it is, a new object memory will be created here and the new value will be stored there. So if I print name, it will print Tarun. If I print full name, it will print Tarun Bhaskar. You see, that's the problem. That's why, guys, strings are said to be immutable. Okay, you get this kind of questions in the interviews, like whether strings are immutable or mutable. Okay, then you have to answer this question. You have to give this as an answer. You see, for every time internally, visually, you can see that they are getting updated and the same value is getting updated. But internally, if you learn about it's not happening, guys, and all the commands and methods of the string are like based on the new string creation only. Okay, why can't name.concat can update this Tarun with Tarun space Bhaskar here itself? It's not happening, right? I have to create a new string for that. Okay, visually also in some cases strings are immutable, and in some cases they look like mutable, but they are immutable. Okay, immutable means unupdatable. You cannot update them. So with practical demonstration, hope you understood why strings are immutable in Java. When you update the value of the string, okay, it will create a new object by reserving some new memory instead of updating the existing value in the existing object memory. Okay, in existing object memory, it will not update. Rather, it will create every time you do some operation, it will create a new object. In that only it will get the updated value. But old object memory, it will not touch. Okay, that's the problem with the strings, guys. Okay, that's the problem with the strings. It's not a problem. They are designed like that in Java, guys. Okay, but we have other things like string buffer, etc., which are mutable, guys. Okay, while strings are immutable, string buffer is mutable. Okay, fine. Okay, guys. So with this, hope I have answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, write a program to output null pointer exception in Java. Let me answer. So when do you get this kind of null pointer exception in Java? There are few examples I can give you guys. The basic concept here is when you assign some null value to a class, okay? It can be string class, it can be a array class or whatever it is. If you assign some null value to a class, and if you're trying to use the variables and methods of that particular class, which is referring to the null, in that cases, because you are accessing the methods and variables of the class, which is not referring to any particular object, rather it is referring to a null kind of thing. In such kind of cases, while accessing the methods and variables of such kind of classes referring to the null, will give you null pointer exception in Java. Let me practically demonstrate so that you'll understand this statement in a better way. Further, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class here. I'll just name this class as class 21. Okay, I can give any name. I'm just giving some random name 21. Click on finish. And here I'm going to initially I'm going to create a string class. String str or string name is equal to null, I am saying. Okay, I'm just saying string name is equal to null. Now, if I try to use any method with this name object reference, which is not actually referring to any particular object. So if I say int name size, okay, size of the name is equal to name dot, what is the method in string we have to find the size? Length predefined method. So here I am trying to use the predefined method of the string class when that particular string is actually not referring to any particular object. It's assigned with some null value. Okay, it's okay to assign null value to this particular variable of the string class. But if you try to perform some operations on this name when it is assigned with some null value, this statement name.length statement will give you null pointer exception. Okay, there is no use of when an exception occurs, what happens? The code that is coming after this line, okay, will not be executed. The exception will come in the 9th line, and because of that exception, the program execution will stop. Here at this line, since you are trying to perform operation on the name, which is actually referred to null instead of an actual object, and you are trying to perform some operation using the length predefined method of the string class, which is referring to this null, you are going to get no such element, null pointer exception on the line 9. Okay, on the line 9, you are going to get null pointer exception, guys. Okay, null pointer exception is coming in the line 9, and because of that exception, the remaining lines are not getting executed. So hope guys you got the clarity here why we get this kind of null pointer exception. I will give you more examples. Okay, I'll just put this inside a comment so that I can give more examples for you where you'll get this null pointer exception. Let's say I'll create an array, guys. Let's say integer array AR is equal to, I'm not assigning anything, I'm just saying null. Okay, I'm not assigning anything here. I'm not creating an object or doing anything. So in this case, if I say system.out.println AR of 0, if I try to access the element, okay, there are no elements stored in this integer array because it is referring to null, and I'm trying to access the first element of the array, even though it's referring to no object, it's referring to null. Still, you will get null pointer exception. Okay, so it's pointing to null. Okay, this object reference is pointing to null. That's what is the reason. Okay, that's what the Java is helping us to communicate. Okay, it's communicating that you are referring to some null value. Okay, null pointer is there. Or instead of this, let's say you want to find the size of this array. There is a predefined variable for this arrays, right? System.out.println. If I say ar.length, length is a predefined variable of this array. It can be a predefined method you are using or predefined variable of this classes you are using or whatever it is. When you run the code, again at the line 17, you are going to get a null pointer exception because this array is referring to null and you cannot perform any operation. To prove that, you are getting null pointer. And what else is there with arrays? So this is what is with the arrays, guys. Okay. So here also, any other stuff, I think you cannot do anything either with predefined variables or predefined methods of the object types which are referring to the null value instead of the actual object. In that cases, you are going to get null pointer exception in the output. These are few examples, guys. Okay, where you will get null pointer exception. Okay, so with arrays you can do some some methods are there with arrays like ar dot let's say any method is there, toString is there. Okay, let's try to use this toString method. System.out.println ar.toString, like this I'll try. But this is referring to null. So let's see what happens at the line 19 this time. So at line 19, will we get an exception? You see again null pointer exception. It may be predefined variable or predefined method, doesn't matter, guys. You are going to get null pointer exception. Okay. So if these classes are referring to this class, object references are referring to some null thing instead of a real object, you see new keyword and object you create, this will not happen. The problem will not come. Otherwise, you'll get null pointer exception. So if you get this kind of question in the interviews, explain all this stuff, guys, whatever I have explained so far. Write a program to output null pointer exception. No one wants to output null pointer exception, but if you get this question like when do you get null pointer exception in Java, that similar questions also, you just answer this. Okay, answer this examples and all, and you will be able to answer it properly. Okay, suddenly we may not be able to remember, so this kind of questions you have to practice and go to the interview so that you will be able to answer the questions. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is upcasting in Java? Let me answer. Upcasting is a process of assigning an object of a child class to the variable of the parent class. Okay, if you are creating an object for the child class and assigning to the variable of its parent class, that process is called as upcasting, and Java supports it. Okay, in Java, you can create an object for the child class, assign it to the variable of the parent class directly without any errors, etc. Okay, and that process is called as upcasting. Let me show you. So I'll just simply open the Eclipse IDE. In the Eclipse IDE, I'll create a new class to show how upcasting is possible. I'll just create a class. I'll just say class P. It's a normal class, guys. This is not a parent class, but I'll create class P and click on finish. And in this class, I'm going to create a variable int a is equal to 5, and I'll going to create a method public void sample p method. I'll just write a print statement system.out.println inside sample p method. Okay, like this, I'll create a class. I'll create one more class inside the same file. I can create another class in another file also, but here, just so that you can see everything together, I'm creating it here. So here class C, I will say, which is going to be a child class. Okay, I'll make this class C. Here class P is not at the parent of the class C, or class C is not at the child of the class P. Okay, I'll simply write class C extends class P. What happens here? Class C is now the child class of the class P. Okay, once you say class C extends class P, means class C is a child class of the class P. Okay, simple. Now here also I can create some variables and methods. I'll just reduce some space, guys, otherwise it will take a lot of space here. Okay, this is class P, which is going to be the parent class, and here we have the class C, which is a child class. Because of extends keyword, we have made the class C a child class of the class P. And here I'm going to create some variables and variable and method. Let's say int b is equal to 10 and public void sample C, let's say. Okay, sample C or something. And here I'll write down system.out.println and I'll just write a sample print statement saying inside sample C method. Okay. Now guys, is there any possibility of creating an object for this child class, that is class C, and assign it to the variable of the class P? Yes. For that, to showcase, we'll create one more class demo class. Okay, I'll just create some demo class. In this demo class, I'm going to create a main method or some method. Okay, public void, otherwise demo method, I'll say otherwise. Okay, some method I'm creating. Inside this method, I'm going to create an object for this class C. I'm going to create an object for the child class. So like new class C. Using the new keyword, I have created an object for the class C, which is the child class of the class P, and assign that to the variable of the parent class, that is class P. Okay, variable of the class. That is, we can create an object for the child class and assign that to the variable of the parent class, and this is allowed in Java, and this process is called as upcasting. Casting is nothing but the process of creating an object for the child class and assigning it to the variable of the parent class in Java. That is called as upcasting, guys. Okay. So hope, guys, you got an idea of what exactly is upcasting in Java. It's a process of assigning an object of a child class to the variable of the parent class, which is allowed directly in Java without any modifications to be done to the code. Okay. Without any errors and modifications, you can simply create an object for the child class and assign it to the variable of the parent class. So hope, guys, you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is downcasting in Java? Let me answer. Downcasting in Java is a process of creating an object for a parent class and assigning that object of the parent class to the variable of its child class. Okay, reverse way. You are here creating an object for a parent class and assigning that to a variable of the child class. This process is called as downcasting. So it will not be directly possible for us to create an object for the parent class and assign that to the variable of its child class. Here we have to do some kind of typecasting in circular brackets. Okay, before the object created for the parent class, in circular brackets, we have to provide the child class name so that the parent class object will be downcasted to its child class object. Okay, so let me practically show you so that you'll understand this line, how that is possible and all. So here I'm going to create a class. I'll just name this class as, let's say, class A. Okay, click on finish. So once I create a class, let's say I'll create some variable and method. I'll say int A is equal to 10 and I'll create a method public void sample A method. Okay, nothing but here also I'll write the print statement system.out.println inside sample A. Okay, so this is a class. Inside the class, I created a variable and method. Now I'll create one more class, public. Instead of saying public, I'll say class B. Okay, I can create this in a separate Java file, but just to save space and show you everything in a single file, I'm just creating multiple classes in a single file. Class B, class B. Here int B is equal to 20, and here I'll say public void sample B method, and inside this I'll create a sample method, say inside sample B. Okay, like this. I'll create one more class now, that is class, let's say demo class. Okay, here inside the demo class, I'll create some sample method, public void, let's say sample. Okay, like this. And inside this method, first I'm going to create an object for the parent class. Here, class A is neither the parent of class B or class B is neither the child of the class A. So first I have to make this class B a child class using extends keyword. Class B extends class A. Now class A is a parent of the class B. In such kind of situations, I'm going to create an object for the parent class, that is class A, like this. New, I'll just say new class A. Okay, and I have to assign this object of the parent class to the variable of the child class. So CV is equal to, I'll just declare this with class B. Okay, you see I'm getting an error because you are trying to downcast. Okay, that is, you're trying to create an object for the parent class, assign that to the variable of the child class. In Java, by default, you can create an object for the child class and assign it to the variable of the parent class. But here I am doing it in a reverse way, where I'm creating an object for the parent class and assigning that to the variable of the child class. That's the reason we are getting an error. Cannot convert from class A to class B because class A is a parent class, class B is a child class. Is there any way to downcast this parent class object and assign it to the variable of the child class? Yes, guys. We have to manually typecast here. Put circular brackets and provide the name of the child class here like this, class B. Okay. This is called as downcasting. Here you are downcasting the object of the parent class and assigning that to the variable of the child class. You are downcasting by manually typecasting with the name of the child class here. Okay. So this is what is called as downcasting. Okay. So for upcasting, you don't have to typecast manually. Directly create an object for child class, assign it to the variable of the parent class, which is possible. But while downcasting, you have to manually typecast to the child class type. Okay. Before the object of this parent class, you have to specify in circular brackets the name of the child class and assign it to the variable of the child class. Then only you can assign the object of the parent class to the variable of the child class. Without this manual typecasting, it's not possible. Okay, this is called as downcasting, guys, in Java. Fine. So in upcasting, we assign the object of the child class to the variable of the parent class, which is directly possible. You don't have to do any such kind of typecasting that I have highlighted here. But in case of downcasting, before the object of the parent class, you have to put the circular brackets and name of the child class to downcast it and assign it to the variable of the child class. Then only it will be assigned. So hope guys you understood what is downcasting in Java, the process of assigning the object of a parent class to a variable of the child class, okay? By doing that manual typecasting thing that I've shown in the program is called as downcasting. With practical demonstration, I have answered this question for you in this session. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the root class of all the classes we have in Java? The answer is object class. Object class is the root class of all the classes in Java. That means all the classes in Java are either the child classes or grandchild classes of this object class, but object class doesn't have any parent or grandparent. Okay, so object class is on the root. Okay, on the root level, on the top level, and under that object class only we have all the other classes of Java as a child classes or grandchild classes, but object on the top of the object, we don't have any parent or grandparent. That's why we call object class as the root class of all the classes in Java. Let me show you so that you will understand practically. Let me show you using the documentation of Java. Let me practically show you and prove you that object class is the root class of all the classes in Java and doesn't have any parent or grandparent. It only has a children or grandchildren in the Java library. Okay. For that, I'll open the browser. I can go to any, library of Java, Java, JDK. Okay. You can API documentation, just generally search, or you can give a number of the Java version and search that some thing will come. Either you can click on this 8 edition or 11 edition or 17 edition. Okay. Let's go with the latest one. What's the matter? So here, a lot of packages and all, and here I have to search for any class, guys. Okay, let's say if I search for a string class. Okay, let's go to the string class in Java and observe that the parent or grandparent of whatever the string class is, object class. If I click on this object class, you see on the top of the object class we don't have any other class. Java.language object, you see it doesn't have anything. Okay, on the top of it, it doesn't have anything. All the other things are, are the child classes of this object class. Let me go to the documentation of previous version where it will be easy to, to find out all the classes instead of just searching in the, search box. But here we have a lot of classes. You see, abstract action is one of the class in Java, and randomly I pick this one. You see, the parent is object class. Okay, object class doesn't have any parent. Okay, object is the root of all the classes. Okay, all the classes in Java are either the child or grandchild classes of this object class, but object doesn't have any parent or grandparent. Just scroll down and then pick one, let's say integer class. You see, integer class, the parent of the integer class is number and the parent of the number is object. That means either object class is a child class of a class or it's a object class is a parent of a class or a grandparent or ancestor of a class, but object doesn't have any parent or grandparents. That's what I am telling you. Object is a root class of all the classes or the parent or grandparent of all the classes in Java. If you click on window again, you see for window also there are parent, grandparent. Its parent is again object. On the root level, we have object. Again, if you click object, you will not see any parent or grandparent for this object class. That's the reason we can say that object class, okay, is a parent or grandparent of all the classes in Java and it doesn't have any of its own parent or grandparent. Hence, we can call the object class as the root class of all the classes in Java. And the answer for this question, what is the root class of all the classes in Java, is object class. So because of the object class is a root class of all the classes in Java, is a parent or grandparent of all the classes in Java. In Java, there is something allowed where you can create an object for the child class or grandchild class and assign it to the variable of the parent class. Hence, the objects of any of the classes in Java can be assigned to the variable of a its parent or grandparent class object. That's why it is allowed, guys. Okay. So, and it's also the root class of all the classes in Java. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what are the other names we use for calling a parent class in Java? The answer is you can either call a parent class as a superclass or base class. Okay. The parent class in Java can be called as a superclass or base class, guys. With practical demonstration, I'm going to show you what exactly is a parent class. And you can also call this parent class as a superclass or a base class. Okay. So fine. Here I'll go and create a new class. I'll just name this class as class PP. Okay. Click on finish. And for sample, inside this class, I'll create a variable int p is equal to 10, public void sample p, some sample method I'll create, system.out.println. And here I'll write down inside sample p method. Okay. Now similarly, I'll create one more class, public class cc. Here I'll remove the public here. And int p is equal to 20. So you can create these classes in separate Java files, guys, but you can also create these separate classes in a single file also. So this is also possible in Java. Okay. So public void sample C in system.out.println inside sample C method. Okay. Now I would like to make this class a child class of this class. Okay. I want to make class CC a child class of the class PP. I want to make this class PP a parent of this class CC. How can I do that in Java? I have to use extends keyword beside the class that I want to make a child class of this class and say, sorry, and say, I just have to copy this class PP and write it here. Now, the moment you write extends class PP is now a parent of the class CC. Okay. So you are calling this class PP as a parent class. Are there any other names? Instead of calling this class PP as a parent class, will people in the community call it with any other name? They may also call this class PP as a super class. Okay, either a parent class, you can call this class PP a parent of this class CC, or a super class of this class CC, or a base class of this class CC. Any names, okay? The names terminology, guys. It's just a terminology, okay? That you call the parent class in Java with the different names. Either you can call the parent class in Java as a super class of a, okay? What is this? This is a super class of subclass, parent class of child class. Okay, like that we can call. Okay, so either you can call the parent class as a base class or super class. Okay, of the child class. Fine. So hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what are the other names we use for calling a child class in Java? In Java, we can also call the child class as a subclass or an extended class. Any of these names you can call. Either you can call the child class as a child class of a parent class, or subclass of a superclass, or an extended class of a base class. Okay. So you can call the child class as a subclass or an extended class in Java with practical demonstration. Let me show you. So here guys, I'm going to create a new class. I'm just going to create a class here, and I'll just call this class as class animal. Let's say animal class, and click on finish. Inside the animal class, for sample, I'll create a variable or method. Let's say I'll create a method public void eat. Every animal eats, right? So like this, okay? System.out.println. Here I'll write inside. Otherwise, I'll say animal is eating. Okay. Now I'll create one more class. I can create this class in a separate Java file, but I would like to show you I want to explain in the same file. So I'm just creating, but I can also create this class in a separate Java file. Okay, class dog. Let's say class dog. Here public void bark. Okay, I'll simply print out system.out.println dog is barking. Now, neither this class animal or class dog are having any relation. You see, they are neither the parent or children or something. I want to make this class dog as a child class of the class animal. For that, I'll write extends class animal. Okay. So here, class dog is a child class of the class animal. Okay. Dog is a child class of the animal class. Okay. Dog class is the child class of the animal class. I can also call this child class as a subclass of this parent class, that is superclass. Okay, subclass of this superclass, or I can say extended class of this base class. Okay, there are different terminology I'm using here. For parent, there are three names. One is either you can call it as a parent class or a superclass or a base class. But the child of this parent can be called as a child class or subclass of the superclass or extended class of this base class. Okay, parent, three terminologies are there. Child also three terminologies are there. We can use it. Okay, so parent, class. If class animal is a parent, then the child class can be called as a child class. Okay, if this class animal, which is a parent class, if you call that as a super class, then you can relate you can call the child class as a subclass. And if you're calling the parent class as a base class, then you can call the child class as an extended class. Okay, these are the different names: child class, subclass, extended class are the different names for the child class in Java. With practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what will happen when you access an array element when its array is assigned to null instead of any array elements? You are going to get null pointer exception. Okay, when you create an array and it doesn't have any elements assigned, instead you have assigned null to that particular array, and you are trying to access the elements of the array when there are no elements in the array and the array is only pointing to null. In such cases, when you run the code at the line where you are trying to access the elements of the array, you are going to get null pointer exception. Let me practically demonstrate and show you. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class here. So I'll just name a new class with some random name, let's say class 22 with some main method. Inside that, I'm going to create an array. Let's say integer array AR is equal to, I'm not going to assign any elements. Okay, in general, I can assign elements like this to the array. Like this, I can assign the elements to the array. Instead of assigning the elements to the array, I'm just assigning the null. Okay, in such cases, when array is assigned to null, when I run the code, I'll not get any problem. You see, if I say system.out.println end of this program, I'll not get any problem. You can assign null value to the array when there are no elements assigned to the array. If I run this program, end of this program will be simply printed without any exception. You see, end of this program will be printed without any exception. The problem comes where when there are no elements assigned to this array, and if you are trying to access the elements of the array using some index like AR of 0, AR of 1, etc., okay, and run the code, in such cases, you are going to get a null pointer exception. Okay. So what is the reason for this? Cannot load from int array because AR is null. When an array is assigned to null and you are trying to access the elements of that particular array, you are going to get which exception? Null pointer exception, which is the answer for this question, guys. Okay. So that is the answer for this question. So hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain using for each method and lambda expression for iterating through an array list elements in Java. Let me answer this in a practical way. There are several ways for iterating and retrieving and printing the elements of the array list in Java. One such way is the traditional for loop. Then we generally use for each loop, and also we use iterator method at iterator interface and its predefined methods. But there is another way. Here the question is being asked on that particular way, where you can use for each loop, for each method. It's not a for each loop, it is a for each method, okay, of the list, and also a lambda expression combination. Okay, how to use this for each method of the array list and the lambda expression along with that to iterate through all the elements of the array list and get them printed in the output. Okay, for that we have to write this line, guys. Okay, object reference of the array list dot for each method we have to call. Inside that for each method, you have to pass this lambda expression as an argument. So that lambda expression, you already know about the lambda expression, right? It's nothing but a shortcut representation of a function. Let's say this curly braces that I have written here is a function body having some code. You can write 1 line, 2 line, up to you. Inside this curly braces, this is a body of the function. And to that body, you are passing an parameter, okay? So it has a parameter, and ELE is a parameter, which is nothing but each and every element of this array list, okay? That you are passing to this print statement, and that will get printed, okay? ELE, and this will get printed, okay? So with practical demonstration, I'm going to show that you will understand this statement. So I'm using for each and the lambda expression, which is a shortcut representation of a function. Instead of writing function in multiple lines, you can go with this kind of lambda expressions where you can pass this, you can get this parameter from the array list elements. For each and every array list element will be passed to this parameter, and that parameter is printed in this print statement. This is the body of the function, let's assume, which in a shortcut way, using the lambda expression I'm writing. And I'm passing that lambda expression thing as an argument for this for each method of the array list, okay? With that way, we can achieve this iteration of each and every element of the array list using the for each method and lambda expression, okay? Further, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just create a new class. I'll just name this class as class 23. And with main method, I'm going to create. And here, I'm going to create an array list. Array list, a list is equal to new array list. Okay, put a semicolon. And hover the mouse on this array list and import this array list from java.util package. Less than greater than symbols. And here, hover the mouse on this array list, and already it is imported. Here you put some integer object or whatever the object type of elements that you want to add to the array list. Then you mention a list dot add of 9. Then a list dot add of 5. Then a list dot add of let's say 7. Okay. A list dot add of 7. Okay. A list dot add of 9, a list dot add of 5, a list dot add of 7. Okay. Now, what I will do here is, here, I'll call that method, okay, that I was talking about in this question, right? For each method, using this object reference, a list dot for each, a list dot for each, and inside this method, I'm going to write down, okay, I'm going to pass a lambda expression. How to write the lambda expression? Here I can write something. I'll provide the curly braces. In that, I'll provide the parameter of a particular function. It is a shortcut representation of function. Lambda expression is nothing but, here I can say ELE or element or EAI, whatever you want. Okay, some name you give. I'll give E, let's say. It will look very simple and straightforward, right? E for element, let's assume. And here provide that lambda expression syntaxing. Here, this is a parameter of the lambda expression, and this is a symbol of the lambda expression syntax. And here, I'll provide the curly braces. So inside this curly braces, the body is function body. This is a function body where you can write any number of statements. So one statement only I'll write, that is system dot out dot println, put a semicolon here at the end of the println statement, and here print this parameter. Whatever the parameter of the function is there, that parameter only you print out. This is a lambda expression for each and every element. Okay, for each and every element in this array list will be passed as an argument to this parameter, and that parameter value will be printed in the body of this lambda expression function, shortcut representation of the function. That way, right, with the help of this for each method and lambda expression, we can print all the elements of this array list. You see, 957. There's another way of iterating through this array list elements and printing them out, 957. Okay, so another thing here is, here when you have 0 parameters, generally it's mandatory in lambda expressions to provide the circular brackets. But when you have a single parameter, it's not compulsory to provide this surrounding circular brackets. We can make it even more simple. Okay, in the lambda expression, this argument that I'm passing is nothing but a lambda expression for this for each method. Okay, the parameter, if there is single parameter, at least a single parameter is there, okay, then you don't have to surround that with circular brackets, not compulsory. If you don't have any parameters, then it's compulsory to provide empty circular brackets, and it's optional. When you have more than 0 parameters, then it's optional to provide the circular brackets here. Since I would like to make it simple, I'll just remove the circular brackets and this will stay. And here, how many statements are there in this curly braces? Only one statement. Okay. If you have more than one statement, then curly braces are required. Otherwise, they are optional. In the lambda expression, inside this curly braces, if more than one statement, okay, are there, then curly braces are required. Since only one statement is there, I'll remove the curly braces and also I have removed the semicolon because there are not multiple statements. To differentiate this statement from another statement, we have to end this statement with semicolon. And also one statement is there, so curly braces are not required. This will simplify the things. Okay. Now run the code and observe that you will get the same output. So this way you can iterate through the elements of array list. Okay, by using for each method and lambda expression. And this is a simplified lambda expression, guys. Okay. So hope guys with practical demonstration I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain using for each remaining method of iterator interface for iterating through all the elements of the array list in Java. Let me answer. There are several ways of iterating through the elements of array list in Java. One is traditional for loop. Then we have enhanced for each loop. Then we can use one of the method, that is iterator method, and the iterator interface we can use. And the other one is a for each method along with the lambda expression we can use. And also there is another way that I'm going to cover in this session as an answer for this interview question, that is how to use for each remaining method of this iterator interface. Okay. So we have to use this with the lambda expression again. Okay. And for calling this method, we have to use object reference of the iterator interface. So let's begin, guys. So once the practical demonstration is done, you will be able to understand this statement without any issues. Okay. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE, create a new class, right click new, create a new class. I'll just name this class as a class 24 with main method. Now, once I create this main method, inside this main method, I am going to create an array list. Array list, A list is equal to new array list. Now, Control Shift O, array list will be imported. Here, specify the type of the object, say integer, and here you can specify less than, greater than symbol, that's enough. And now add some elements into this, okay, add some elements, guys, okay. A list dot add some elements, then 9. Then A list dot add of, let's say 5. Then A list dot add of, let's say 7. Okay. Like that, add some elements. And after adding the elements, now I want to iterate through these elements, for which I told you there are several ways. One of the ways that I'm going to show you as an answer for this question is by using this for each remaining method. How to call this method? To call the method, we have to use iterator interface. To get that iterator interface, first I have to take this object reference and say iterator. I need to call this iterator method. This iterator method of this array list will return you an object of this iterator interface. I'll simply write itr and the return type of this iterator method will come here over the mouse. Now we can use this iterator interface methods like as next and next with the help of while loop to make that process simplified. If you don't want to use that while loop with as next, right? Then there's another way where you can use this object reference itr dot for each remaining method you call. Okay. Instead of using while loop has next methods of this iterator interface, there is a simplest way, that is itr dot for each remaining method. And here inside that you provide circular brackets, and in that provide some element. For example, each and every element I'm passing. Let's say this is a lambda expression I need to pass as an argument for this method case. Okay. For this particular method, I need to pass the lambda expression. So here I'm going to write the lambda expression like this. Let's say ELE is stands for element. You can also say E also in circular brackets, E for element, or you can say I if you want. You can give any name. Okay. This is a parameter of the function. So as we already know that lambda expressions, simplify the process of functions. Okay. If you want to write a function in a single line, then we generally go for, to simplify the functions, we go for lambda expressions. So this is a parameter kind of stuff in case of functions, and in lambda expressions, we write the parameter here or list of parameters here. Okay. In circular bracket, I'm mentioning one parameter. And in lambda expressions, as per the syntax, we have to write this hyphen symbol, greater than symbol, followed by, I have to provide the curly braces, where inside this curly braces, I can write the function body. Any number of statements inside the function body I can write. For now, I'm writing only one statement, system.out.println. And here, whatever the parameter is there, I'm printing that. Okay. So what happens is when this particular for each remaining method is called, right, it will iterate through all these elements. First argument, 9 object will be passed to this parameter, and that 9 will be printed here. Here I have to end this particular statement inside the curly braces with semicolon so that we can add more statements. Okay. Inside the curly brace, we can add any number of Java statements as a function implementation or something. Okay. So simplified version of a function is nothing but lambda expression here. So if I run this code, you will see that all the elements will be iterated and all the elements of this array list will be printed with help of for each remaining. You say 957 got printed. And also I can simplify this lambda expression that I'm passing to this for each remaining method of this iterator interface. That is, you see in lambda expression, if there are no parameters for the function, you have to compulsory provide circular brackets. But if there are at least one parameter available, it's not compulsory that you surround this parameter with circular brackets. You can put it like this. Okay. No need to surround this with circular brackets. When there are no parameters, circular brackets are must. But if there are more than 0 parameters, that is at least one parameter is there, you can ignore the circular brackets and this symbol will stay. And you see here curly braces are there, and this curly braces also we can remove, guys. Okay, we can remove the curly braces here because in this example only one statement is there, only one. For one Java statement you don't need the curly braces, it's optional. Okay, remove this. And also you can remove the semicolon because if curly brace is there means multiple statements of Java are expected. Hence, to segregate or separate, differentiate the multiple statements of Java, we have to end the statements with semicolon. But if there is only one statement and without curly braces, no semicolon is required. This is how we can simplify the lambda expression, which will print out, the elements that are passed by this for each remaining method from this array list elements to this parameter and from the parameter to the print statement. Okay. Like this, we can simplify and run this, we can get the same output. We'll get 957 printed in the output. So hope guys, you understood with practical demonstration how to use for each remaining method of iterator interface for iterating through all the elements of the array list in Java. Okay, this is a thing. Iterator interface object reference dot for each remaining, and here I'm writing the lambda expression and passing that as an argument for this for each remaining. And this is a simplified version of the function written in the lambda expression format. Okay, so with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain using list iterator method for iterating through the elements of array list in Java. Let me answer with practical demonstration. So before practical demonstration, let's understand that there is a predefined method known as list iterator. Okay, which belong to the collections framework. Since array list is a child class of this list iterator method, okay, we can inherit and use this method with the object reference of the array list. After calling that method, this list iterator method will return you an object reference of list iterator interface, and using the object reference of that list iterator interface, we have this hash next and next methods using which we can iterate with the help of while loop through the different elements of the array list. If you want to understand all this stuff in a better way, let me start the practical demonstration. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just name this class with some random name, say class 25. Okay, some random name with main method I'll create. Then I'm going to create an object for, or I want to create an array list. Array list, a list is equal to new array list. Let's create the array list or create an object for the array list like this and press Ctrl Shift O. Array list will be automatically imported from java.util package. Then say a list dot add few elements. Before adding the elements, specify what type of objects you want to, or object elements you want to add to this array list. Inside this less than greater than symbols, let's say integer objects I want to add. I'll just add 9 here. Then a list dot add of, let's say 5. A list dot add of, let's say 7. Okay, 3 elements I added. Now after that, I'll use this object reference of the array list and call a method known as list iterator method. Okay, this method will return you an object reference of list iterator interface. Okay, I'll say litr is equal to, and hold the mouse and create local variable. The return type of this list iterator will come as list iterator interface with the same object type. Okay. Now I'll use a while loop. While litr dot has next, it has a next element, object element in the array list, then it will iterate through the while loop. And here I'll print out system.out.println litr dot next, this object reference of this list iterator dot next I will use. Instead of has next, I'll use next. Okay. Here has next means it will return either true or false to see whether there are any elements in this array list. If there are elements, it will return true and will go inside, and it will print the first element using the next. It will retrieve the first element from the array list and print it. Okay, using the print statement. And it will go to the has next, and it has 2 more elements, again true. Again next, it will go to 5 and retrieve and print 5. Then has next, yes, it has 1 more element, so true again. litr dot next will go to 7 and print 7. Again litr dot has next, no more elements left out after 957, so it will return false, will come out of the while loop. Now run the code and see that with the help of this list iterator method, we can retrieve and print and iterate and retrieve and print all the elements of this array list in Java. Okay. So this is what we can do with list iterator method, guys. Okay. The question here is explain using list iterator method for iterating through array list in Java. So I have practically demonstrated. These are the important 3 statements that we have to use. Array list object reference dot list iterator method, which will return the, give the return type as list iterator interface. And using the object reference of that list iterator interface, we have to call the hash next to see whether there are elements in the array list. If there are elements, we'll go inside the while loop and we'll call this itr dot next, list iterator dot next method, which will get the element of the first element of the array list. Then the loop will continue with the while loop until all the elements in the array list are completed and retrieved, iterated and printed. Okay. With practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain how to use list iterator interface for iterating through the array list elements in a backward manner. Instead of forward manner, we have to iterate through this array list elements in a backward manner with the help of list iterator interface. Okay. So let me explain that before I go to the practical demonstration. Let me explain. Once you create an object reference for array list, using that object reference, you can call a method, predefined method known as list iterator method. To that, you have to pass the size of the array list. Okay, how many elements are there in the array list? You have to pass to this list iterator method of the array list. And this list iterator will return you the return type as list iterator interface. Now this list iterator interface has some predefined methods like has previous and previous. Earlier, we have used some methods of the list iterator, that is has next and next, which will iterate forward. But in this case, we are going to use other methods of the list iterator, that is has previous in place of has next and previous in place of next. Okay. So these are few changes that we have to do to traverse or iterate backwards with the elements of the array list. Okay, not to iterate backwards with the help of list iterator, we have to use has previous and previous methods of the list iterator. And also when you're calling this list iterator method of this array list, okay, you have to pass the size of the array list. When you want to iterate forward, you don't have to pass the size. But when you want to iterate backwards, then you have to pass the size of the array list here. Otherwise, it is not going to work. Okay, so this is one important thing, and you have to use other methods of the list iterator, that is has previous and previous, to iterate backwards with the elements of the array list. We are going to iterate backward through the elements of the array list, retrieve them and print them in the output console in this practical demonstration. To understand these statements in a better way, let's go to the practical demonstration where you will understand it in a clear way. So right click here, create a new class, randomly create a class, say class 26, let's say, with main method create, and inside the main method, create an object for the array list. Here like this, create an object for the array list. Array list, a list is equal to new array list. Okay, like this, create an object for the array list. And say Control Shift O, it will be imported. This array list class will be imported from java.util package. Now specify the type of the objects you want to store into this array list. Let's say integer, I'll specify. Now add some element objects into this array list. A list dot add method and say 9. Then a list dot add method, then say 5. Then a list dot add method, let's say 7. Okay. Like this, I'll add some elements. Now I want to iterate through this array list elements in a reverse order, that is starting from 7 to 9. And in the same order, I would like to retrieve them and print in the output console. For that to happen, first I'll take this object reference of the array list and call a method known as list iterator method. List iterator method. Here you see there are two variations. If you want to iterate forward, you have to take the first one without passing any arguments here. If you want to iterate backwards, you have to take the second overloaded method, that is list iterator, with having some index. Here index is, we have to specify the size of the array list. What is the size of this array list? Here in place of 0, you write a list dot size method. This will get the size of the array list that you have to pass to the list iterator. You want to iterate through this elements in a backward manner. Okay. Now this list iterator method will return you an object reference of the list iterator interface, litr over the mouse, and say create local variable. Return type of this list iterator will come here, which is an interface. Now using this object reference, I'll use a while loop, and here I'll specify litr. Instead of saying has next, I'll use has previous case. Okay. First change is you have to specify the size here. Okay. So when you are iterating forward, this size is not required. When you are iterating backward, this size is required. Okay. The next thing is you have to use has previous method instead of has next if you are iterating backwards. And also inside this while loop, you have to write litr dot next method. Instead of next method, you have to write previous method. Okay. Sorry, I selected wrong one. Instead of next method, you write previous method here of this list iterator interface, and run the code and observe that all these elements will be iterated in a backward manner. Okay. So it will start from here as previous. Yes, there are 3 elements starting from bottom to up. Okay, so it will go inside list.previous will go to 7 and print it out. If you forget this one, if you forget to provide the size of the array list in this list iterator, this is not going to work. Then again has previous, has 2 more elements from the down to up, that is 5 and 9. In that it will take previous means it will take 5 and print it out, and any more elements. So 9 is there, 9 will be printed. After that, has any other elements? After 9, no other elements. Starting from bottom to up, it will iterate and retrieve and print in the output console. You see, 7, 5, 9 will be printed. Instead of 9, 5, 7, you see 7, 5, 9 got printed. This is how we can iterate through an array list elements in a backward manner with the help of the predefined methods of the list iterator, that is has previous and previous. Okay, and also in the list iterator method of the array list, we have to pass the size of the array list in case of iterating backwards. In case of iterating forward, you don't have to specify the size. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what will happen when you call string methods when it is assigned to a null value? Let me answer. When a particular string is assigned to a null value, then if you are trying to call a predefined method of the string class on that particular value, which is assigned to null, then in the output, you're going to get null pointer exception. When the string is pointed to null, And if you are trying to use some methods of string class, then that methods will result in null pointer exception. Let me practically demonstrate this for you so that you will understand this in a better way. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just right click on this package and select a new class here. New class. I'll just name this class with some random name. Say class 27. Let's say with main method I'll create. So once this class with main method got created, I'll create a string here. String str is equal to, instead of giving some string value, I'm assigning null. Now string is pointing to null. In such kind of cases, if I call any predefined method of the string class, what will happen? Now if I print string, nothing will happen, you see. When I print this particular string, when string is pointing to this null value, nothing will happen, you see. I'll not get any exception. Instead, null will be printed in the output. Without any problem, null will be printed in the output because string is pointing to null. The string is pointing to null. So string null value will be printed when you try to print this str, right? Okay. Then what I'm going to tell you here is, so this will work fine. But the moment I try to call a predefined method, any predefined method, let's say string dot, let's say any predefined method you can take, guys, okay? String dot contains, okay? String dot contains some method I'm using, or okay, anything, any predefined method if we call, okay? String dot contains, or if I call or something. If you not only contains method, you can use any method, guys, okay? Then you can use any other method like a caret index 5, okay? Whatever it is, whatever the predefined method you are trying to call with this object reference of the string class when string is pointing to null, this statement is going to return you an exception, okay? Here I'll write down system.out.println, end of this program, okay? Here end of this program will not be printed because at the line 11 itself, you are going to get an exception known as null pointer exception because you are trying to perform this predefined method operation on the string class, which is pointing to null, which is not possible, right? So hence at the line 11, you are going to get null pointer exception. The first null got printed. After that, you in the line 9, null got printed. After that, at the line 11, we got, you see, at the line 11, we got null pointer exception. Okay. Cannot invoke string caret because str is null. Okay. Since string is pointing to null, this particular predefined method or any other predefined method of the string class cannot work because string is pointing to null. So this kind of methods won't work. And that's the reason you'll get an exception known as null pointer exception. That's the answer for this question. So what will happen when you call a string method or any of the string methods, when the string is assigned to null, we are going to get null pointer exception in the output. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is string buffer mutable or immutable in Java? The answer is string buffer in Java is mutable. What about string? String class in Java is immutable, whereas string buffer is mutable. What does it mean? You see, let me explain this stuff first. So I'll compare string class with string buffer. Okay, we have two things in Java to handle the strings. One is string class, other side we have string buffer class. Okay, so I will say that string is the objects that you create using string class are immutable. Once created, you cannot change any values that are stored in that object memories. Whereas string buffer is mutable. Okay, that means the objects that are created with the help of string buffer, we can modify them. Okay, we can update this value in the same object. We don't have to create a new object. Okay, so what happens here, I'll tell you with practical demonstration. If I create a new class, I'll just randomly name this class as class 28, let's say, with main method, finish. Inside the main method, if I create a string class like this. String str is equal to new string of, okay, if I create an object for the string class, and here, if I add my name, let's say Arun, okay, so what happens when I add my name here into this? So what happens in the computer memory is, in the computer memory, let's say this is a computer memory. Let's assume this is a computer memory. In the computer memory, some memory will be allocated to this object that is created for the string class, okay? For a particular object of the string class, memory will be allocated, okay? And to that object, str is referring. I can also name this as str1, let's say, okay? str1 is referring. Here I will say str1 is the object reference, which is referring to this memory location or memory that is reserved for this particular string object, okay? In that object memory of the string class, this Arun name is being stored, okay? Arun name is being stored here. Fine, Arun name is being stored here. Now, if I try to do some operation like this, str1 dot, if I say str.1 dot concat, and double quotes, if I give space to read or whatever it is, or if I say str1 is equal to, if I say Varun, let's say, okay, str1 is equal to Varun, if I say, what will happen in this case? In this case, if I print that system.out.println str1, if I print it out, okay, what will be printed? Varun will be printed. It looks like the value of this str1 is getting updated. Okay, externally it feels like when you see this program, initially the value Arun is assigned to str1, and we are updating the value of str1 with, that is Arun value, with Varun. So when I print str1, in the output, you see Varun got printed. Okay, in the output, you see Varun is getting printed. Instead of Arun, Varun is getting printed. That's fine. Okay, now what? So externally, it feels like strings are mutable. They can be updated. You see, we can update the strings, right? Here it feels like we are updating the strings. When you see the output and all, the string value is getting updated. But internally, what is happening is, the moment you write this next step, str1 is equal to Varun, here the original object memory, okay, original memory that is reserved for this object will not be touched. The value will not be updated in the memory that is reserved for the object one, and instead another memory will be reserved, okay, for a new object will be created. Every time you update the value of this string class, okay, a new object will be created in the computer memory, and this str1 will now refer to the latest memory location, which is storing the updated value, that is Varun. Okay, here original Arun is not getting updated with Varun. Rather, a new object is getting created to store Varun, and str1 is pointing to that new object where Varun is there instead of Arun. That's why programmatically we see that, externally we see that the value of string is getting updated from Arun to Varun. But internally, if you observe, it's not really updatable. Okay, the original Arun is not getting updated to Varun. This memory exists, this object exists, this object exists. Okay, every time you update the value of the string, it keeps, it keeps creating a new object. Okay, so what about string buffer? String buffer is not like that, guys. Okay, so I'll explain about string buffer now. Just see here. A second, I'll just comment this out. If I create a string buffer here, string buffer SB is equal to new string buffer, new string buffer. Okay, put a semicolon. Put double quotes and give Arun here. Now SB equal to Varun. If I say, what's happening? It's not allowing, right? So I cannot do this kind of assignment operator here, right? SB dot replace, okay, or SB dot, we have append also, or we have any other methods. replace, let's say 0, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Position I'll give, and here I'll give the value. Let's say 1. What will happen? Let's see. And if I print it out, system.out.println, SB if I say, and run the code. So what will be printed in the output? Instead of Arun, when I print SB, the SB value, which is Arun, got updated by Varun. But here what's happening is, okay, it's updating programmatically, but internally what's happening? The same similar program, if I have to write with string buffer, I have to write like this, guys. I cannot say SB is equal to Varun here. I have to say SB dot replace of this index values and all. One of the method I have to use. But what's happening is Arun value is getting updated with Varun. But in this case, what's happening is in the computer memory, initially, when you create an object for the string buffer, okay, when you create an object for string buffer, here some memory is getting reserved for that particular object to which this SB is referring. SB object reference is referring to this, right? In that, initially the value Arun was stored. Okay, Arun was stored. Now, the moment you say SB dot replace some code like Varun. So here Arun got updated with Varun in the same object. Okay, the same in the same memory that is reserved for the first object itself, the value got replaced with Varun. But here in this case, for every time you update something, programmatically it seems like they are getting updated, but internally the values for every updated value, a new object is getting created. But here in the same object, the updations are being done. That's why string buffer is mutable, whereas string is immutable. So hope guys, with practical demonstration, you got an idea about string buffer, whether it is mutable or immutable. It is mutable, updatable. That means when you create an object for string buffer, some memory will be reserved, in that some value will be stored. And when you try to update the value in that particular memory, the same memory location only, or in the first memory that is allocated to the object only, the value will be updated internally and externally also. Okay, externally it looks like updated, and internally also it's updating same. But string is immutable because externally it feels like it's getting updated, but internally you see that for every update, a new object is getting created without updating the original value. Okay, here original value is getting updated in the object memory of this computer memory. Okay, that's why string buffer is mutable, strings are immutable. So with this practical demonstration and explanation, hope you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is an identifier in Java? Let me answer. Identifier is nothing but a name given to various programming elements in Java like variables, methods, classes, labels, packages, and etc. Any other stuff. Okay. So what is an identifier? Identifier is nothing but a name given to a variable, a name given to a method, a name given to a class, a name given to labels, a name given to a package. Okay. So these are called as identifiers, guys. Okay. So once you name variables, you can call that named variable as an identifier. Okay. Once you name a method, you can call that named method as an identifier. Okay. Once you name a class, you can call that named class as the identifier. Once you name a label, you can call that named label as an identifier. Once you name a package, you can call that named package as an identifier. Identifier is nothing but a name given to various programming elements in Java. So what is the purpose? Why we have to name them? To identify. That's why the name identifier has come to these variables, methods, classes, labels, packages after naming them. Okay. After you name these variables, methods, classes, labels, packages, we can call this variables, methods, classes, labels, and packages as identifiers because they got named. Okay. Using that names, we can organize them, categorize them, identify them, whatever it is, okay? Or use them, access them, whatever it is, okay? So in real world also, we name some people, right? We give some names to the people. Otherwise, if you don't name these people, there may be many people and it will be very difficult for you to identify them, right? So with the help of their name, you can identify them. You can call them with their name so that that particular person only will come out of that 100 or 1,000 people who are before you, let's say, okay? Similarly, while you are writing the Java programming, we use several programming elements like variables, methods, classes, labels, packages, etc. If you don't name them, you'll not be able to identify, okay? Under which method, what code is there, okay? Under which variable, what data is stored. If you want to identify the variable storing that particular data to that particular variable or method or classes, labels, packages, etc., we have to name them. Once you name them, we can call them as identifiers because identifiers are nothing but the names given to the, okay, name given to the this programming elements in Java like variables, methods, classes, labels, and packages. Let me practically demonstrate this for you. For that, I'll switch to the Eclipse IDE. Here, I'll just do one thing. I will create a program here. So before creating a program, let me switch this workspace. So in this Eclipse IDE, under this one of the project, under the project, I'll create a new class, some random name I'll give. Just right click and select new class. I'll just give some name like class 29. Let's say I'll just name this class with some random name. Let's say class 29 with main method. Click on finish. Once the class is created, once the class is created here with the main method, inside that, first I'm going to name a variable, okay? I'm going to give examples of different identifiers in Java. That is variables, methods, classes, labels, packages after naming them, okay? Once you name the variables, methods, classes, labels, packages, we can call them as identifiers. So one by one, I will name and show you how they become the identifiers after naming. Okay, inside this main method, I'll declare a variable and assign some value, say 5. Okay, here the name that I have given to the variable is A. Okay, so I'll identify this particular variable with the name A. Okay, now this variable is an identifier. Okay, the purpose of the variable you already know, to store the data, and variable is nothing but reference to the memory location where exactly this data is reserved, stored and reserved. Okay, fine. That we already have seen. That is what nothing but a variable. Anyhow, fine. So the next thing is methods. Okay, I'll create a method here, public static void sample method. Here I'm naming this method as sample method. Okay, sample method A, let's say. Okay, so I'm naming this method. So once you name a method, this can be called as an identifier. Once you name a variable, that particular variable can be called as an identifier. Okay, identifiers are nothing but the namings given to the various programming elements in Java. Simple words. Okay, hence this A is an identifier. Hence sample method A is an identifier. Okay, the whatever the things that you can name in Java, you can call them as identifiers because you name them after naming them. Okay, classes. So already have named this class 29. Okay, this class 29 is a identifier. Okay, then label. So we can write some label code here for int I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Okay, and here one more for loop I'll write for int j is equal to 0, j less than 3, j plus plus. Okay, system dot out dot println. Okay, system dot out dot println I some j. Okay, I colon plus j I'll say. Okay, like this I'll give. Now here, now I want to create some labels for this external for loop and give a label name for this internal for loop. Okay, so here I'll give a label, guys. Label is let's say external for loop 1. Okay, one label I'm naming with colon symbol. Okay, like this I can give a label, guys. Okay, here for this internal for loop 1, some name I have given. Okay, these are the labels in Java, guys. Okay, so you can name this thing with a label. Okay, now how can you use these labels and all? That is a different story, guys. Okay, and write a condition if I is equal to j. Okay, then break external for loop 1. Okay, like this. If I is equal to j, then break the external for loop. That means you'll come out of the, instead of inner for loop, you'll come out of the external for loop. Like that, you can use the labels. I'll explain more about labels in the other interview questions. But for now, these are some examples of labels. And the labels have to be named in Java with the different names. And once you name the labels, you can call them as identifiers. Okay. Other variety of identifiers. Then packages, guys. Okay. Here I created a lot of packages. AB pack. You see the package name. Under which package I have created this class 29? Under EFPack here, EFPack, okay? Package EFPack. Here I have named this package while creating the package, right? Click new package, right? When I create a package, I'll create like this new package. I can give a name for the package, GH, let's say GFPack. Okay, click on finish. A new package will be created. Okay, a new package will be created like GH. Under that, no classes are there, no. So naming a package is also an identifier. You can also call a named package as an identifier. Okay, all these are identifiers once named: variables, methods, classes, labels, packages, and these programming elements in Java once named, they can be called as identifiers, guys. Someone asks you what is an identifier, you have to say that identifier is nothing but a name given to different programming elements in Java, like variables, methods, classes, labels, packages. Once you name these variables, methods, classes, labels, and packages as shown in this program, okay, you can call these variables, methods, classes, labels, packages which are named as identifiers in Java. Okay, so with practical demonstration, I answer this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we call main method from other methods in Java? The answer is yes. In Java, it is possible for us to call the main method from other methods, but this approach is not recommended. Okay. No one, while writing the Java program, will try to call the main method from other methods in Java, even though it is possible. So we generally leave this main method calling to the JVM. So JVM generally calls the main method to start the execution of the program. JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine, which actually invokes this main method by default when you run the Java programs. But intentionally, we don't try to call the main method from other methods in Java, even though it is possible. Okay. So it is a bad approach. That is, calling the main method from other methods is a bad approach. But it is possible. How it is possible, I'm going to show you, but we don't have to use in real time though. I'll switch to Eclipse IDE for practical demonstration of this, and I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as class 1, let's say. With main method, I'll create, finish. And inside the main method, I'm going to write some sample statement, sample print statement saying inside main method. Okay. Similarly, I'll create one more method, public static void sample1 method. Okay. And here also in the sample1 method, which is a normal method, apart from the main method, sample1 method is a normal method. Okay. Here I'll write inside sample1 method. Okay. Now the question here is, can we call this main method from this sample1 method? Generally, main method is invoked by JVM, right? When you run the code here, if you run the code here, so execution will start from the main method because JVM, Java Virtual Machine, will invoke, automatically call this main method, and from there the execution starts. Once the execution of the main method starts, from this main method, we can call the normal method. Okay. A main method can call a normal method using this method calling statement. That's okay. But now the question here is, apart from the JVM invoking this main method, is it possible for the normal method to call this main method? As the main method is calling this normal method like sample1, right? Similarly, is it possible for this normal method to call the main method? Yes, it is possible, guys, but it's not recommended, guys. No one will do in real time. But to show you that it is possible, I will call the main method. Okay, the name of the main method. And inside this, I need to pass an argument here. Okay, otherwise error will commit. It is requesting you to pass the arguments like string array kind of stuff. Okay, you can create a string array if you want. You can create a string array. Let's say str is equal to, just create a string array. This is a string array, right? Let's say Arun, Varun, then Varun, and then Tarun. I'm passing the arguments. Okay. I'm passing this particular string array as an argument to this while calling this main method because there is a parameter here, string array argument. So here I'll pass this str inside this main method. That's it. You see, it's possible, guys. Put a semicolon here. That's it. And also to see whether this particular values that are passed, argument that is passed to the string array, can we print it out? Yes, we can print it out. How? After calling this sample1 method, I'll just print it out like the system.out.println. there is a predefined class known as arrays dot toString. ToString method I'll say arrays dot toString. Here I'll pass this args. Okay. It will be converted to toString and printed in the output. Okay. Whatever the argument that is passed here to this args after calling this method will be. You see, I'm trying to call simple words. I'm trying to call the main method, guys, and also I'm passing this parameter, okay, as a string array. So whether it is printing all these things or not, okay. Let's see whether the argument is being passed, string array argument is being passed, and that particular received parameter received arguments are being printed or not. Let's see that. Let's run this. And the moment you run that, for a while it will run, guys. Okay, you see it will go into the infinite loop kind of stuff, and it will not end in infinite loop. Basically, at a point of time, you'll get an error. Okay, so actually it goes into the infinite loop, but because of the memory constants and all, it will stop somewhere. Okay, inside sample one, first what is getting printed? 1 minute. I'll go to the top here. Inside sample one, inside main method, inside sample one. Okay. Inside sample one, inside main method, inside sample one, inside main method. And it goes on, goes on, goes on, goes on. And finally, just see here, keeps on going. And at a point of time, it will give you an error, guys. That is stack overflow error. Okay. Stack overflow. Memory is overflowing. Okay. So there is no memory to, go ahead and repeatedly call this method calling this method, this method calling this method. That is not possible. And here, there is one thing. That is, so what's happening here? Execution will start from the main method. Inside main method sample one should be called. Inside sample one should be printed. And okay. Once it is called, again it's calling the main method inside the main method. Okay. So I have to do one thing, guys. I have to take this out here and put it here. Okay, it's better. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Let's keep the calling statements at the end. Okay, run as Java application. This time we'll see proper output. Yeah, now we are getting proper output. Fine. So let's go. First, it started with inside main method. After that, okay, after that, it printed what? Arun, Varun, Tarun, inside sample one method. Then inside main method, again, you see, it's being passed inside sample one and then inside main method. And then these arguments that are passed are getting printed. Okay. They are calling simple words is that we can call main method from other methods. But at a point of time, you will get this exception, guys. Okay. Once repeatedly, it will go on, go on, go on, go on, right? And memory flow will happen where stack overflow error will come. Okay. In the output, stack overflow will come and program will stop abruptly. Okay. So it will say stack overflow error will come due to memory constants and all. But this looping is going to continue. Okay. The normal method calling the main method, again, main method calling this method. Okay. It keeps going on, and at some point of time, we'll get stop stack overflow error. But to the point, if I come, can we call main method from other methods in Java? Apart from the JVM, by default calling the main method to run the Java programs or to start the execution of the code, there is a possibility that other normal methods in Java programs can also call this main method, but that approach is not recommended, guys. So the answer is yes, but it is not recommended. Okay. With practical demonstration, I answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, who calls main method in Java programs? The answer is JVM. JVM will automatically call the main method in Java programs and start the execution of the code. Okay. In Java programs, the code will start executing from which method? Main method, right? And who will call that main method? JVM. And that too automatically. Okay. When you run the Java programs, JVM will automatically call this main method and start the execution of the code from the main method. Okay. So let me practically demonstrate here. I'll come to this Eclipse ID and create a new class. I'll just name this class as class2. And here, click on finish. Now here, if you see, a class 2 will be created. It doesn't have any main method. Can I run this Java code which doesn't have the main method? If I right click and say run as, you see, we are not getting any option to run this program. Why? Because JVM can only call main method to start the execution of the code. This particular class doesn't have the main method. What if I write some normal method like public void sample1 method? It's not a main method, it's a normal method. And here I'll write some code also system.out.println inside sample1 method. Okay, inside sample1 method. And if I right click and say run as, you see, again, we are not getting any option to run this code. Why? Because JVM looks for main method in this class to run this program. The execution will start only from the main method, and that main method will be automatically called by JVM. So what if instead of a normal method, if I create a main method, public static void main string of args. Okay, here system.out.println. Here I'll say inside main method. Okay. Now this particular class now has the main method. If you right click here and say run as, now you are getting Java application option. That means JVM will be able to run this program. Okay. Since main method is there, JVM will, when I run this code, when I simply say run as Java application, I cannot show you visually how the JVM will call, but JVM is going to call this main method and start the execution of the code from the main method, and the code inside the main method got executed inside main method. Okay. So JVM is something that is Java virtual machine is something that will automatically call the main method in Java. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we have multiple main methods inside same class in Java? Let me answer. The answer is no. We cannot have multiple main methods inside the same class in Java. If you try to do so, you will get duplicate method error. Let me practically show you how that is not possible to have multiple main methods inside the same class in Java, and how we get this duplicate method error on doing so. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and create a new class here. I'll just name this class as class 3. Okay, with main method. I created one main method already, guys. As you can see here, main method is already created. If I try to create one more main method with the same name, public static void main string of args. Okay. Can we have multiple main methods? A single class in Java can contain only one main method. If you try to create an extra main method, you are going to get duplicate method error. You see, already you are getting duplicate method error. So you may say that, okay, I can change the number of parameters here and I can create a overloaded method for this original main method. Okay. But there is a problem if you try to change any of these aspects of this main method. Either you change this public or static or void or the name of this method or the parameter or number of parameters, anything you change, it will no more behave like a main method. Okay. It will no more behave like a main method. Okay. I'll prove you that. First, one of the main method I'll remove. For now, only one main method is there. So if I right click here and say run as, you see, I'm getting Java application. Okay. I can print it out also. System.out.println inside main method. If I run this program, inside main method will be printed for me without any problem. Okay. You see, if I run this program inside main method, the program got executed. I'm able to run it. When I right click run as, I'm getting Java application so that main method is detected. What if I change any aspect of this main method? You may say that while creating duplicate main methods, you are getting a duplicate method error. But what if I change the parameters or whatever it is? Okay, if I remove these parameters, okay. Now this is no more will act like a main method. If I right click here and say run as, you see, you will not get any option to run it. Okay. So by changing any of this structure of this main method in any way, either this public or static or void or the name of the method or, the parameters inside this method, if you put a parameter, another parameter, it's no more a main method. Main method should be exactly like this. Cannot change any part of the main method. And if you try to duplicate this main method here, you will get duplicate method error, as you get for all the other type of methods also. Normal methods also, if you try to duplicate, you will get. But you can say that I can add one more argument here. So it's not a, there's no problem here. It's not a main method. Actually, it's a normal method now. Okay. This will act like a main method and this is a normal method. Okay. So it's a normal main method. Okay. So though the name of this method is matching with this main method from where the execution starts, but from here the execution will not start, guys. Because this is not the actual main method. Okay, actual main method should have only this single parameter string of args. Okay, so any other thing that is not going to be a main method, and it is a normal method having the name as a main, but it's an overloaded method, but it's not the actual main method as per the syntax of what main method should be according to Java. Okay. So though we can create this, but exact replica of this main method, we cannot have duplicate main methods inside the same class where, execution will start from the two places. Okay. If Java allows you to create main methods, duplicate main methods, okay, then what happens when you run the program, execution will not understand whether to start from this main method or this main method, right? That's why it is not allowed, guys. So when only if you try to create a duplicate copy of an exact main method with the same syntax and all, you will get duplicate method error. So hope guys with this practical demonstration, you got an idea or answer for this question, that is, can we have multiple main methods inside the same class in Java? The answer is no. If you try to do so, if you try to create an exact replica of a main method inside the same Java class, you're going to get a duplicate method error. And when you try to create a overloaded method, it's not going to be an actual main method from where the execution will start. Okay. So exact replica cannot be duplicated. Okay. A replica of main method cannot be duplicated inside the same class. So the answer is no. We cannot create multiple main methods from the execution will start in the same Java class in Java. Okay. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can a main method call other methods in Java? Let me answer. The answer is yes. A main method can call other methods in Java without any problem. Okay, let me practically demonstrate that. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE where I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as, let's say, class 4 and create a main method here itself. So main method will be automatically created by Eclipse IDE because of that selected option. Now the question here is, if I have another method here, public static void sample1 method here, okay. Now here inside this, I'll write a print statement saying inside sample1, okay. Now if this particular main method can call this sample1 method or not, okay, that is the question. Can this main method call this sample1 method or not? So for that, I'll write this method calling statement. Okay, sample1 method calling statement I'll write down. Now you can see that a main method using this method calling statement can call this method. And if I run this code, if inside sample1 statement got printed in the output console, that means that execution has started from the main method and main method has called this sample1 method and inside sample1 got executed. Okay, run the code and observe that inside sample1 got printed. That means main method can call other normal methods in Java. Okay, it can be one method or it can be any number of methods. Main method can call other methods inside the same class in Java without any problems. Okay, directly it can call the method using this kind of method calling statements. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. That is, can a main method call other methods in Java? The answer is yes, as I demonstrated here. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.